Is a special presentation on TNN, the Nashville Network.
Everybody's jacked up over the greatest weekend of stock car racing New England has ever seen. New Hampshire International Speedway plays host to the Winston Cup cars. And today, live on TNN, a kickoff doubleheader. NASCAR's open-wheel, ground-pounding Winston Modified Tour. And the full-bodied Busch Grand National North Division take on New Hampshire International Speedway.
From the Granite State, welcome to New Hampshire International Speedway. We're just about 1 hour north of Old Boston. We're at a 1 mile dream come true for race fans in the Northeast. Hello, everyone. I'm Ken Squire. Just thrilled to be part of this throng gathered on this gorgeous weekend for a very special time here in the Northeast. Great expectations are to be realized here. $1 million race with the greatest stock car drivers in the world. This will be New England's biggest motorsports event. But set aside tomorrow for a moment. Let's talk about today. Dale Earnhardt and some of his cohorts have come up from the south to run against the Northeast's finest stock car drivers. Consider this. A guy named Jamie Obey from North Ferrisburgh, Vermont's on the pole. On those hard, cold New England winter nights in the future, he can sit by the fire and tell his kids about how he out-qualified the Intimidator, Earnhardt, in the summer of '93 at New Hampshire. Bragging rights, that's what it's all about, what stock car racing is about everywhere. NASCAR's modified ranks began right here in New England. It's their oldest division, and we're going to see them strut their stuff as well, all here on the Nashville Network. I can't wait to get to my seat and to escort you to yours, wherever it is. The man on top, here's Mike Joy.
Well, thanks, Ken. As you said, for those of us who grew up in New England, we've been waiting a quarter century for this weekend in Big League Winston Cup stock car racing. And today, some drivers these fans are a bit more familiar with on a track that perhaps they're not. Good afternoon, everybody. Alongside me, as per usual, Neil Bonnet. Neil, you take a couple of fast groups of race cars, the open-wheel modifieds and the Busch cars, you put them on a fast, flat racetrack, there's going to be action.
Mike, you know, we cover Busch races all over the country, but this is the Busch North Series. A lot of drivers we haven't seen before, but believe me, they're good race car drivers. They win a lot. And then you take these modifieds. My goodness, what a race car. Big motors, big wide tires, light cars. They're real fast on this big flat track. It's going to be quite a show.
Well, let's go down to the front row and meet the man who's no stranger to New England race fans, who's earned the pole position for this event. Here's Glenn Jarrett.
Well, Mike, Jamie Obey is also no stranger to victory lane. This three-time series champion in the Busch North Series won the last race here at New Hampshire International Raceway a couple of months ago. He's one of only 3 cars in the field with a V8 engine, and Jamie, is that V8 going to be enough to hold off the likes of Earnhardt, Schrader, and McLaughlin today?
Well, it sure is running good. Carl Wagner built us a heck of a motor, and you know, we're looking to bring this Budweiser Chevrolet into victory lane again. It's going to be a tough race, but we get a lot of confidence.
You'll be able to keep cool. It's awfully hot today.
Well, this is summer. You know, we got to enjoy it while it's here up in New England.
Well, this guy's a cool competitor if there is one up here. Randy, you've got a guy over there that might have something to say about it, though.
Well, he might very well. It's a battle of the beers on the front row. We got the Coors Extra Gold Pontiac over here with Mike Magic Shoes McLaughlin. Mike, you got a little V6 in this one. We got a V8 across from me. What do you think? Can you do anything with those V8s today?
Well, the V8s have a little bit of an edge, but if there's a V6 in the field that's going to beat him, it's this Ron Hunter paired V6. It's got good power, and we hope to put the Coors Extra Gold Oldsmobile in victory lane.
What about it? Is it going to take a little while for the V6 to come in? Is it going to work with the tires a little bit better? Are they going to burn those up on the V8?
Yeah, that's their disadvantage, the extra weight. On a long run, we hope that it's going to wear the tires out, and we'll be able to get them through the corners.
Okay, good luck, Mike. Mike's also in the modified show coming up here after this one concludes. Mike, but he should be a threat to win this one here today. Mike Joy?
Well, he will be, Randy. He's won both a Busch and modified doubleheader on this racetrack. And Neil, Mike talked about long runs and 150 laps here for these cars. Will that be a long run?
Well, it's going to be a long sprint race. They're not going to have a luxury of taking it easy. There's going to be one one pit stop in between this race. But let me tell you, we go to Atlanta, we snow out. We come up here in the cool northern part of the country, and we're burning up. It's hot on that racetrack. They're going to use up some tires today.
Well, Jamie always said enjoy summer. This is one of the 10 days of summer in northern New England. The temperature is expected to go to 97 degrees today. Going to be some hot action on that track as well. Now, you heard them talk about V6s and V8s, and the Busch North cars are a little bit different than what we see on the Busch series that we cover 18 times a year for TNN. In this week's Haviland Update, Buddy Baker takes a closer look at these up-country cars.
This is the Busch Grand National North race car. Very similar to the Busch cars you see every week. There's a few differences, though. They weigh the driver here, and it has to weigh 3,200 pounds with the driver. In my case, that was really important. A few other things. No cambered rear. Another thing, and the most important, this set of tires right here, Macquarie tires. They call these track tires $440 a set. Bias-ply tires, only allowed to put 2 sets on. And anytime you can go racing for less than $1,000, boy, that's something. And also, you can run a V8, but it has to be 9-to-1 compression and also a 390 carburetor. There's one on the pole.
V8s versus V6s, and then later on TNN, the NASCAR Modified Tour. Strap in for a great doubleheader day of racing. We'll bring it to you live from New Hampshire right after this. Today's exclusive TNN coverage of the Auto Palace Slick 50 150 is brought to you by Haviland Formula 3 Motor Oil. Add more life to your car. Welcome back to New Hampshire International Speedway. Sears Die-Hard Batteries, now with more power when you need it most, presents the starting grid for today's Slick 50 150. On the pole, Jamie Obey from North Ferrisburg, Vermont, and Mike McLaughlin, former doubleheader winner here, will start alongside. In row number 2, Andy Santerre, leading rookie candidate and former champion Robbie Crouch. Curtis Markham, up from Virginia, will start in the 3rd row along with Maine's Joe Bessie from the Busch South Tour. Winston Cupper Ken Schrader's in the field in a Dick McCabe car next to Keith Lamell. And there's Dale Earnhardt running his old number 8 that he had from the Busch Series, starting next to Kelly Moore. In row 6, former national mod champ Mike Stefanik with modified point leader Reggie Ruggiero. Greg Clark from New York State shares the 7th row with Tom Bowles from Connecticut. In row number 8, there's Morgan Shepherd out of North Carolina with his Ford, and Ed Kennedy from Coppell, Texas. Bobby Dragon brings the Dragon Wagon from Milton, Vermont against Dick McCabe, former champion. Brian Ross, who won at Holland, New York this year, along with Stub Fadden in the 10th row. Gigi Gravel from Groton, Mass, and Mark Purcell from Mooresville, North Carolina. Then it's the other Kenny Wallace, this one from Dallas, Pennsylvania, next to Dean Ferry of New Hampshire. Dana Patton, another former champion, he's from Enfield, New Hampshire, and Glenn Sullivan from New York State. Then from New York, Bob Brunel, and from Massachusetts, Tommy Rosati, former Oxford winner. In row 15, Buzzy Bazanson from Plaistow, New Hampshire, and Steve Hoddick. Modified ace Ted Christopher starts next to Jeff Berry, both from Connecticut. From New York State, Jeff Spraker, and for the Busch South Tour, Shauna Robinson. Michael Olson from North Haverhill, New Hampshire, and Barney McRae from Colchester, Vermont. Then from Mayetta, New York, Martin Truex, and Paige Jones, Parnelli's second son, from California. Babe Branscombe from Northwood, New Hampshire, and Scott DeWare, the road racer from Quincy, Mass. And finally, Randy Snyder from Fultonville, New York. Those are your 41 starters. 51 drivers came to New Hampshire to attempt qualifying. They have fired the engines here at New Hampshire International Speedway. We'll be back with the start after this. That's what a clear 97-degree day looks like here in New Hampshire. Those are hazy clouds. They're not really giving these folks much shade here at New Hampshire International. You see the sharp shadows beneath these cars as they get set to roll off here for 150 miles. You note on the hood of that car it says Racing Capital. That's Babe Branscombe's mount, and he is sponsored by the capital city of New Hampshire, Concord. And he'll be carrying our in-car cameras today. There's a look inside at the what Director Gary Clem likes to call the dome light camera, our race cam over his shoulder. There's the roof cam. There's a view of this facility. Big crowd on hand. And also, there's another look at a driver about to be hard at work. Too bad that shade will be down. You won't see all the sweat because they will build it today. Just walking around down there in garage area, you could feel the sun coming down and the heat coming back up off the asphalt. If you got lightheaded, Neil, you might think you were at Myrtle Beach again.
Mike, I tell you, I looked in the grandstands, and the bulk of these people are in bathing suits, and it smells just like you said, suntan lotion. You think you're at the beach. It's hot.
How hot is it? 93 degrees right now. They expect 97. It's about half humid. A little breeze from out of the southwest. You can feel it real strong up on the roof, but not so much down there in that grandstand. Hot and humid, one of the 10 days of summer here in northern New England. Mark Twain once said, if you don't like the weather, wait a minute, it'll change. He was living in Hartford, Connecticut at the time. And it's true. This track, measured 15 feet in from the wall, outside wall, as NASCAR does, is just a touch over a mile. It is long straightaways, 1,500 feet, very flat turns. The banking as much as 12 degrees. Sure doesn't feel like it when you haul off down in there. It feels pretty flat. And the straightaways are 65 feet wide. One lap will go racing. How they've been characterizing this track?
Like a big Martinsville, like one of the short tracks. They have to use a lot of braking, a lot of power down the straightaway.
You're watching from our Ray Bestis Brakes helicopter camera, floating high above the New Hampshire International Speedway here at Loudon. Fine folks from Ray Bestis Best in Brakes bringing you these pictures. And you see the outfield section of the course here, where part of the old Briar Road course still survives and is used by SCCA and the motorcycles. Over $100,000 posted for these Busch North competitors today. 41 starters, 51 cars attempted to qualify. They'll run 150 laps. Ricky Craven holds the record. Mike McLaughlin is the point leader, one of the finest drivers on this tour, and a fellow who is looking to make the jump full time to the Busch Series down south and eventually Winston Cup. He has a modified national championship in his pocket. He'll start on the outside pole in the Mike and Harry Griccione car out of Granby, Connecticut. And Dick McCabe, proprietor of the McCabe Lobster Bait Company in Kennebunkport, Maine, is the number 2 point man. Jamie Obey, the pole sitter, is third. Pace car is in. Looks like about 40,000 folks here. One to go. Here in the grandstand, lining the hillside along the back straightaway.
I just noticed something. They put the white flag out, meaning one lap before the green. They never do that down south. Is that something they do up here, Mike?
I believe just in this series, in the Busch North Series, they give the drivers a one to go in that fashion. Here's a look at the point standings. Curtis Markham is fourth, driving that Skoll number 7, and Robbie Crouch, a former champion up north here, is currently posted in 5th as we get set to go racing.
I think the big scramble here is going to be, like Buddy touched on at the top of the show, about the V8 in the pole setter's car. Can these 6s get after him? It looks like the V8 might have to eat some tires up before they can run him down, Buddy.
Well, the V8 is so much heavier on the nose that he will use more front tire up, and that's the whole thing. The V6 will handle better as they go along, so it's going to be touch and go for that V8. But he does have a horsepower advantage of about 30 horsepower, I understand.
So we're set to go racing, this time by Jamie Obey. Up on the point. He won here at New Hampshire earlier this year. Finished second at Holland, New York, behind Brian Ross, and at Stafford Springs, Connecticut in the last tour race behind Mike McLaughlin. We are under green, and Obey on the bottom from the pole will take the lead. Andy Santerre from Maine, O'Connor Pontiac. Moving up into second, Mike McLaughlin can't get to the bottom. That green car is Curtis Markham. Quint Bovair, Skoll number 7, car that Chuck Bown used to drive on this North Circuit.
Mike, I think you hit the key there. As hot as it is, a little bit slippery on the track, they won't want to get in that bottom part of that track. It's going to be critical to stay low with the first of this race.
Obey up front, Santerre in second.
Boy, Santerre is really getting off in the corner fast, and he was pumped up yesterday. I talked him up, he pushed out a little bit there and let a car get under him just as I was talking, but he was really excited about the day. I think the car is running well enough. He'll be back up front soon as he finds out you can't run on the bottom of the racetrack.
You saw him 3 wide come out of turn 2 there as you ride along with Babe Branscombe. He's going to come up on the slow car, Biggie Gravel, working his way back toward the pack and headed to the inside in pit road. 2 complete. That number 8 car, Dale Earnhardt. That's the number he used to carry when he ran a Chevy Nova on the old NASCAR late model sportsman circuit.
Last year up here in the Busch race, he qualified 20-something. It took him a while to get the front. He qualified off the pace in this race.
You don't have to recognize the number to watch that move down the inside. That's Kelly Moore underneath Joe Bessie, and up the outside, that's Ken Schrader in that Fisher Snowplow 01, the other Dick McCabe car.
You can see you can't run around the top part of this racetrack yet, Neil.
I tell you, Schrader was out there where he needed a snowplow. 3 deep on the outside could be handier than that race car. You're not going to be able to do that. He got pinched out there and got hung out.
That Mark Martin looking Valvoline car, number 6, that's Mike Stefanik, another former modified champ. We saw him in Nazareth on TNN and in some of the combined Busch North-South races.
You know, you travel across the country, we're in a different area, and you see a lot of these guys paint their cars the same paint scheme as some of the Winston Cup cars, and it is a little bit confusing.
7th place race here. Joe Bessie runs 9 in the north, 97 down south. That gold-colored car. And back at the race here for 7th. Bessie, Earnhardt, and Mike Stefanik. This is only Bessie's 4th Busch North start of the year. He's been concentrating on the Southern Series. Best finish is 7th at Lee, New Hampshire. Here comes Earnhardt underneath. This is Earnhardt's first Busch North race of the year, but remember last year in the 250, he and Joe Nemechek dueled right to the checker with Nemechek taking a narrow win.
You guys see the car leaning way over there. That's very important. The car travels a lot there to get a lot of side bite. Also a little body check in there getting in the corner. But these cars have to travel a lot on the right side and put more pressure down on the right side tires.
Buddy, I think that Mike, like we talked about top show, what these guys relate this to, they relate it to a half-mile racetrack with longer straightaways. It doesn't require a lot more spring, a lot more chassis changes than if you were running on a half-mile track. It's just got long straightaways.
Mike Stefanik in the Auto Palace Valvoline Chevy getting underneath Joe Bessie. Bessie with some power down the straightaway, and that's Ken Schrader right behind.
Get together a little bit. We've seen Bessie the last 2 times. Little people leaning on him going through this corner. And the Schrader, he wants to make sure he gets up there. Schrader's in the yellow car today. He's trying to get under Bessie before he can plug that hole back up.
Right behind them, Greg Clark in the 45. Yeah, Schrader tries the bottom shot, which doesn't look like, Neil, it works as well in turn 3 as it does in turn 1.
You know, when we stand on top of the roof and look down at the track, you can see the pattern of where the cars ran, the black place on the racetrack. For some reason, down in turn 1 and 2, the groove looks a lot wider than it does at turn 3. They can live with that 2 abreast in 1 and 2 a lot better than they can down in 3 and 4. There's an example. There's somebody trying to get up under them down in 1 and 2.
That's Bessie.
Mike, you can see the cars kick out in the back there just a little bit off the corner. That's the one thing the V8 car is going to have to be real careful of, because once the V8 starts breaking the wheels loose, he's at a disadvantage. You see they're running down there.
This is at the front of the pack. Jamie Obey leading Curtis Markham. Just tuned in, that's not Bill Elliott and Harry Gant. This is the Busch North Series with a couple of Winston Cuppers thrown in just for seasoning.
Yeah, what's going to happen is, like we've talked about, the red car with the motor, he's motoring everybody to death. The other cars are going to have to just out-handle him and hope the handle goes away on the red 41 car. See if it give up a little bit.
Jamie Obey, a 4-time champion, rather a 3-time champion of this series, 1988, 89, and 90. Mike McLaughlin trying to hold off Kelly Moore, taking that high entry line, and now here's Bessie getting passed by Kenny Schrader. Schrader underneath, and now the 45, Greg Clark, the Comp USA Chevrolet from Old Chatham, New York.
It took 3 laps for that to happen. We saw Schrader get a nose up under the 9 car. Bessie, it took him 3 laps of pecking away at to get it.
4th place is the battle. Kelly Moore has gotten underneath Mike McLaughlin. You heard Mike at the top of the show say his car was set up for a long run. Didn't expect it to be that quick in this early going.
And I tell you, he's a good enough race car driver. He can read that car. The guy's really got a lot of ability in that car, and it'll probably come back to him later in the race.
There's Kelly Moore, there's McLaughlin, and here's Earnhardt coming up. McLaughlin, a protege of the late great modified ace Richie Evans. And we're back at the front. Jamie Obey leading Curtis Markham here at New Hampshire International Speedway. We'll be right back. We're back at New Hampshire International Speedway. Jamie Obey has been joined in this chase for the lead by Curtis Markham and Andy Santerre in the number 15 car, leading Penrose rookie challenger this season. Markham, in that number 7 Skoll car, drove in a handful of Winston Cup races in the early 1980s for then car owner Elmo Langley. He's from Virginia. Slow car in turn 2, but gets going again. Looks like we'll stay under green.
Curtis Markham tried to get around the leader on the outside.
That's Scott DeWare from Quincy, Mass.
Looks like he's got a right front tire down, Mike.
He's an ex-SCCA road racer. Looks like he got up against the wall.
That's a mean place to have a flat tire because you can't get across the racetrack without getting hit. So he's got to hold it up against the wall and hope for a caution here pretty quick.
He's trying to find a break where he can get across and hit right up on him again.
That slow car they just went by, the black car, Ed Kennedy, off the pace from Coppell, Texas, flies home to Windsor Locks, Connecticut, to his old home to race on a short track every Saturday night from Texas.
Well, I thought Curtis Markham was going to be able to get around the leader a while ago. He worked on it really hard, but it seemed like he's falling back a little bit.
I noticed Albee has a style that he really works well with, and he took the line away, so they started running the outside line, and I think he used the tires, but they're going to have to cool them to make a run at him.
Here's Scott DeWare coming in to change that right side tire in the Pace Trailers Pontiac. Albee has opened up a couple of car lengths now that Curtis Markham has to deal with Andy Santerre.
I think that's the key. I think Andy's got him behind him here, and it's letting Albee get away. These two guys, the 7 car went from offense to defense. He's trying to hold the guy back, and he's losing a little bit of ground, having to deal with the red car trying to get around him.
Robbie Crouch ran most of the early laps in 5th position, but he has now gone behind the wall.
Oh, he slowed right when we were in that last commercial break. They brought him in. They thought they might have lost a cylinder. Indeed, that's exactly what it was. He lost a cylinder. That is a 6-cylinder automobile, and 5 cylinders against 8 just won't make it, guys. So he's done for the day, they think.
Holds 3 career victories in what is now the Busch North Series. Formerly the NASCAR North Touring Series, and one of 2 full-bodied late model stock national championship type tours up here in the Northeast. Second place, the battle. You see Jamie Obie on the left side of your screen, and Santerre in that red number 15 car, looking all over the back bumper of Curtis Markham.
Mike, that's what you call casual contact. He's bumped about 3 or 4 times now, and what that does, that makes that 7 car look in the mirror a lot and he starts running offline. You notice he's running a little bit wide there? He's going to get by him, it looks like.
Ken Schrader and Dale Earnhardt, Winston Cup combatants, Pontiac and Chevrolet mounted. And Schrader, of course, in the yellow car.
I tell you, when Schrader gets around the racetrack, he'll get out and find him a ride.
For the second place.
He's been trying and trying to get around him. Looks like he's got that inside line now.
And the Buick of Mike Santerre, the O'Connor GMC car, getting underneath Curtis Markham.
Now he's coming right back by again. I'm telling you what, these 2 guys are letting the lead car get away by all this fighting they're doing.
And there's Obie lapping past the number 3 car, Randy Snyder, provisional starter in the McDonald Chevy. Might be a little tire smoke for Jamie Obie. Second place. Santerre is going to play the pick and run here if he can on that lap car. See if he gets away with it. No, big trouble. There's 56 Martin Truex pulling away. Tommy Rosati in the number 2 car, and that leaves up on the wall at turn number 3 just 1 car.
They've had to change the numbers on some of these cars because they're duplicate numbers. They had a tremendously large field. A lot of guys had to go home, and some of these numbers aren't right on the drivers.
So 1 car in the fence. One of the Oldsmobiles.
It looks like it used to be a 13. There's 2 13s.
Well, the 1 car is Tony Hirschman.
Yeah, see, they've changed some of them. That car originally looked like a 13. I'm not sure which one it is.
I wonder if that's Teddy Christopher's car out of Connecticut. Sorry, folks, we shouldn't be wondering. That is Ted Christopher. He and his twin brother, Mike, run the Winston Racing Series Modified Tour down in Connecticut. We'll be right back. This rock formation has been long famed in New England as the old man of the mountain. Natural rock formation, and it looks kind of like old Stoneface, one of our NASCAR inspectors.
I believe somebody went up there and chiseled that on that mountain. That's too
might have happened.
Too defined.
Depends on which legend you want to believe, Neil. This is Ted Christopher's car. We apologize. He was listed on the entry list as 37, but he does run 13 down in the modifieds and on the North Tour. But that number taken by Reggie Ruggiero today. He climbed out of the car and was okay after getting up into the fence up between turns 3 and 4. Tom Rosati pulled away from the incident, has made repairs on pit road, and they're pushing him back off into the race. So we'll go back to green here in a couple of laps. Mike McLaughlin coming down pit road. Already there, the cars of Steve Hoddick and Gigi Gravel.
Mike McLaughlin had faded a good bit when the race started. He's one of the first guys to come in, one of the front guys.
Buddy, you were telling us earlier they're limited how many tires they have for the whole race here.
Yeah, they can only change 2 tires during the race, and if they have a flat all the way down, then they can change that.
Glenn?
Well, Mike McLaughlin was awfully glad to see this caution come out. The car was very, very loose, the reason he was fading back. They're taking this opportunity to adjust the rear track bar. I saw them get a rubber to maybe put in the right front spring, but they decided to go to the rear of the car and move the track bar to see if they can't tighten that car up. This extreme heat has caused the car to get a lot looser than they thought it would, so it takes a long time to run around this track under caution, so they've got plenty of time to do this. They got the air wrenches out there. They're making that adjustment right now, hoping to get Mike back into to a competitive state. He's down and away.
36-second stop for McLaughlin. Today, the 8th race on the Busch Grand National North Tour from 1993. McLaughlin won the last race at Stafford Springs, Connecticut. Jamie Obey lined up right here, chasing his 4th championship, perhaps. Second to McLaughlin there.
Guys, about lap 18, I noticed some smoke coming from the leader's car, Jamie Albee, and I thought it might have been coming out of the headers. Went over to the team, they said absolutely not. Where it is coming from is the left front brake duct. So already the brake's getting hot on that V8. Now, in 150 laps here, you know this track is very similar to a Martinsville or a Phoenix, but there is a lot of brake being used, and with only 26 laps down, I think this team is already concerned about possibly burning the brakes up on this car.
Do you use a lot of brake here?
Yeah, let me tell you, they're running with these flat straightaways, and it shows 12 degrees banking when we show the graphic on the racetrack. It just doesn't look like 12 degrees. I think that's out at the wall. Some of these tracks have a little step up, and then it goes up a little bit more degree of banking, and it just takes so much brake to get the car down in the corner that they're going to use a lot of it.
What you have to do is realize that you're going to use a lot of brake and let the car do a lot of work so you don't lean on the brakes and lose them. So these guys have to be running the race with that idea of keeping brakes for the last part of the show.
26 laps complete, buddy. Here's how they're running. Jamie Obey at the front of the pack. Curtis Markham, Andy Santerre, the rookie. Kelly Moore, Kenny Schrader's worked his way up to 5th. Dale Earnhardt is 6th. Joe Bessie is 7th. Mike Stefanik in 8th. Greg Clark is 9th. Keith Lamell has the 10th spot ahead of Dick McCabe and Bobby Dragon, both longtime standouts. 32 of 41 starters still on the lead lap. There's a little sweat in the eye of Babe Branscombe, our City of Concord Chevrolet driver. See, he gets a little breeze coming in through there, but not a whole lot.
Then he closed the heater down again. Closed the door in the oven.
Right.
You notice he had the full-face helmet with the vent tube in it and had no vent tube hooked up to it. So that's got to be a pretty warm ride for him.
Warm down on pit road today as well.
Talking about how warm it is, we had about 3 people in the grandstands have heat exhaustion. The fans are the ones they're cooking right now.
Yep, when Neil and I were standing on the roof, you could just smell the suntan oil. I thought we were back in Daytona Beach.
It looked like it with all the bathing suits.
Yep.
And here they are. Now you tell me, we go to Atlanta, Georgia, and we have a blizzard.
Yep.
And we come up here and I said, man, let's pack some short sleeve shirts and just get out and enjoy this nice cool weather up here. And I'm telling you, it is cooking up here.
I've soaked through 3 of them today already. Out of turn number 4, Jamie Obey will lead them around. No one on this tour this year has yet won 2 races. 7 events, 7 different winners.
You know, on these restarts, I keep thinking that we'll see that big old V8 just pull away. But it's not. That's look. He got in the corner a little hard, slid out, before. We saw him Markham turn up under him and got the back end loose, but he's trying for that inside line.
And there you saw Schrader and Earnhardt. They were 3 wide down into turn 1. There's Earnhardt.
That looked like Daytona last week. Just different color cars, you know.
Back up front, Kelly Moore makes the move for 3rd place in number 47. Getting underneath the 15 car of Andy Santerre.
I tell you what, Curtis Markham in the 7 car, he can turn down and get under the 41 car, but his car is so loose when he does, he can't get back in the throttle and pull up beside him. He can make the turn, but he just can't get up off the corner like he needs to.
5th place, Earnhardt and Schrader going at it in black and yellow there, just behind the lead pack.
What color do you have when you mix black and yellow? Orange?
Kind of bluff.
We'll get ready. We're fixing some bluff ready here.
It's kind of like Kelly Moore has come all the way under Curtis Markham and up to 2nd spot.
Pretty good move on his part, I'll tell you. Had a couple of guys battling for 2nd place. He drove around both of them.
Kelly Markham just cannot stay down on the bottom of the racetrack. They're driving right under him, Neil. It's going to make a long day if he don't get that car adjusted where he can stay on the bottom.
We saw him make a move on the leader walk when the back end broke loose on the car. I'll tell you what, next time they have a caution, you're probably going to tune that thing up a little bit.
So Markham slides back to 4th place in the Skoll car. Here comes the Goodwrench Chevrolet of Earnhardt. In 5th, Schrader driving that snowplow is 6th.
Well, he certainly won't cut him a break. That'll be a position right there, folks.
Joe Bessie on the move. Right behind him, there's Joe.
And there's Schrader saying, now just leave the door open just a minute. Let me get my butt in there.
Yeah.
Makes it so much easier when you can follow a guy and not have to do all the work yourself of moving him over and getting that line.
I'll tell you, it helps when you're sponsored by a snowplow company to be an aggressive driver. Here's Schrader getting that Fisher blade right up underneath Earnhardt. And Joe Bessie in the Auto Palace car right with them.
Neil Markham moved up and he's running actually faster in the 2nd lane than he was around the bottom. He's giving Earnhardt all he can stand.
I think his car was so loose a while ago he couldn't get back in the throttle, and the thing to do when it is, look here, 3 abreast.
Whoops.
While they're battling, Schrader gets on the inside.
He wasn't waiting for him to open the door. He was waiting. Oh, up in the wall. That's Ken Wallace out of Dallas, Pennsylvania. It's his TGI Fridays car. Shouldn't have run on Saturday. That big chunk out of the back of it looked as if he had a little help.
From a friend or an enemy, I'm not sure which.
Yep. See the back end all stove up there.
I see a car down in the infield there trying to get back in the race.
Yeah, he might have beat the caution car back out on the infield. Believe it or not, he's got this one cranked back off and going again.
Yeah.
A lot of sparks flying off him. Probably got the right front flat.
So we're under caution again, this time at lap 33 for Ken Wallace. In the fence. There's your front 5. We'll be right back. Exclusive TNN Motorsports coverage of the Auto Palace Slick 50 150 is brought to you by Napa, because there are no unimportant parts. We're back in New Hampshire. Ken Wallace has made a couple of pit stops in order to get back out on the track after that incident up in turn number 1. Now the car that's sideways, the white car, that is Mark Purcell, and you'll see the black car, Paige Jones, involved, but it's already started here. As we see, let's roll this and see what happens.
See, right on the outside wall, just straight in. See, you can see the skid marks way back here on the right. He had the thing locked down. It just went right in on the right front. What's good, this thing showed 65 foot of width on this track. It gives them a little bit of distance to get the car slowed down before they get out to that wall.
Somebody had already gotten into the back of him as that appeared to start way up in turn 1.
Usually what happens on a deal like that, you'll see it happening first. This guy probably got on the brakes. Somebody nailed him in the rear and then drove him right in that outside wall.
There's a prankster at work here at New Hampshire. As Neil and I were up on the roof to do our stand-ups, Davey Allison walked up. He had a spotter's headset with him. He walked over and tried to take away Neil's earpiece and microphone and said he was going to do this for the day. Well, Neil fought him off. Where'd he go then?
Then he came down here in the air conditioning and sat down, but he just went over and stole Earnhardt's spotter's headset, and he's telling Earnhardt how cool it is up here in the booth. So he's kind of rubbing it in Earnhardt down there while he's got a chance.
There's Earnhardt carrying number 8 today, running in 5th.
I think I just heard him tell Dale to turn right at the next corner.
Yeah. Go off to the ice cream stand. Mike McLaughlin has just made a pit stop.
he's been working with that car. He's had some trouble with it from the start. We saw him make that early stop. And, I mean, if you're back in the pack, the thing to do is work on your race car. And they've still got a long way to go. He can get it straightened out.
Let's find out what they did. Here's Glenn.
Well, guys, he took advantage of another caution flag here. The car's still extremely loose. They brought the car at that time, let some air out of the right rear, and they bumped the spoiler up. But good friend of theirs, Brett Bodine, the Winston Cup driver, is down here in the pits, and he and I were talking about it. They seem to think that possibly the right front spring is just too weak. The car goes in the corner, dumps the weight on the right front, and the back end comes around. So they're probably going to have to come in one more time and put a rubber in the right front.
The linkage there is both McLaughlin and Brett Bodine used to drive NASCAR modifieds for the Billy Carrazzo team. Before moving on. Back under green. There's Kelly Moore in that black 47. In second place, the Jordan Lumber Chevrolet. Right behind Jamie Obey.
Yeah, we saw Obey on the other restart get in a little bit hard, slide out, and he tried to pass him. He protected that inside lane a little bit better.
Watching from the Ray Bestis Best in Brakes camera high above New Hampshire International. Here comes Earnhardt on the bottom.
He'd been trying his best to get around Schrader. Schrader and Earnhardt swapped it back forth, buddy, and he finally got under him.
I think this is where Earnhardt comes on strong. You know, he starts back in every race about 8th and 9th and then works his way to the front. But he sets his car up tight enough not to get way out loose. And right now the car's working well, and he's coming right to the front like he always does.
I don't think Schrader's going to give him any slack, though. We'll see him. Earnhardt get a little bit of room. Schrader comes up. He drives it back around him again. These two guys really like to race with each other.
You see there is visible, though, that Earnhardt's car staying right on the bottom, and he's really having to use a little brake there to stay out of the quarter pound.
Andy Santerre. 15 car Buick, and Earnhardt slides it right underneath them, and Santerre has to come down quickly or Schrader was going to grab another spot.
Mike, that's what we've talked about all along. Let one guy move the traffic over. You take advantage of it. Santerre wouldn't have anything to do with it. He said, Schrader, you're going to have to work to come by me. You didn't give him that free pass.
Nope. Good move by the rookie driver in that orange number 15 car.
And plus, you're talking about a rookie driver. Who else would you want to follow and try to learn some things from than that little black car right there?
Joe Bessie in the 9 car right with that pack. There are your leaders. Jamie Obey, 3-time champ, 3 in a row on this circuit, and Kelly Moore, who's led more of these Busch North races than anybody this year. He's led 4 races out of the 7.
And he wants to lead this one. I'm
Yes.
telling you, he's not giving him any slack. He's all over the back of his car from the middle of the corner. This is where the 6 should work right here. Look, boy, what a shot right up in the middle of the corner.
Kelly Moore has just led his 5th race of the year.
That makes you look good, Neil.
Well, just like you're talking about, buddy, top of the show, that a little bit more weight on the front tires. You'll wear the fronts out a little bit, slide the nose out, and people get up under you.
You can see it right there. See Earnhardt turning under him. I tell you, that's a big difference.
Lap car to the inside. Earnhardt goes right back to the high side. Brother Obey comes up to cover the spot. 2nd and 3rd place here. We're coming up on a 3rd distance. 41 complete. Out of 150 laps.
Got up beside him this time. And here's where that 8 is supposed to do it, right down this straightaway. But once you take that inside line away, there's not much you can do with it.
Oh, boy, he's going to lose a couple of positions here. I tell you, once you go to the outside, and you can see the nose of that car actually favoring the outside of the racetrack, he's going to lose 3 spots now.
There's Schrader. He's just sitting there just clicking along as everybody else does. Every time they open the door, he goes with them.
Look at Santerre, though, go by Earnhardt. He said he's going to follow him and learn something.
Well, he did.
I think he might want to teach a little.
In one lap, he figured it out.
Here comes Schrader as well underneath the 8 car.
Some guys just learn quick, you know. We joke about that. But let me tell you what. This tour they have, this division up here, we don't hear that much about it because we cover the Winston, the Busch Series at home, but I'm telling you, they got some talented drivers on this circuit here and really good race cars.
And you got a couple talented guys right here trying to battle with him. Kent Schrader in the 0-1 car, Dick McCabe, the 2nd McCabe car, and Earnhardt.
You know what you see here, guys? You see these guys do the same thing they do at Martinsville a lot in the race there. They use up your tires. You see Earnhardt fading a little bit. A while ago, he looked like a world beater. Now he's dropped back and Schrader's past him. So what you got to do is regroup a little bit. See him wash out there? His chassis went away a little bit.
Well, that pass is going to go on Andy Santerre's highlight reel. He's going to be watching that one a lot through the winter. Anytime you can drive up and under Dale Earnhardt, you're having a pretty good day. Jamie Obey, the early leader, and Curtis Markham, who ran second, have now faded just a bit. You see them there. The red car is Obey, and the green and white machine, number 7. That is Markham. Back to 6th and 7th place now.
You know, we talked at the first of the show about the track tire here. And when they come with a track tire, it's usually a hard compound to try to save the guy some money. And just like Buddy said, when you heat that thing up and it goes away, you just got to calm back down, cool them down, and go back again. The tire is not as sticky or hold as well as some could possibly be, but they're looking at it on the money side. Go with something hard, save the guy some money.
Well, it's a good idea. And I was talking to Bobby Dragon the other day, and I said, how much money have you pulled out of your pocket to run this year? And he said, not 1 cent.
Joe Bessie, the number 9 car, the Auto Palace AC Delco machine underneath Dale Earnhardt now. This battle is 2.5 seconds behind the race leader. Almost. Not quite. Okay.
Yeah, that outside out there. He's tried that outside lane, but we haven't been able to see anyone can make it really work that good.
Now, the car coming up on him, that is McCabe in his own car, that black and yellow car. Twin to Kenny Schrader's paint job.
You know, this is the bias ply tire they're on, Neil, and it looks like Earnhardt might have a little growth in the right front tire now, and he's pushing him pretty much in the center part of the corner.
Now here's McCabe coming up, making a pass on the outside. Winner at Jennerstown, Pennsylvania. He's notched a lot of wins on this series over the years and a couple of titles.
Seems to be able to make it work around the outside back there. Black car driving right around. A lot of smoke out of the 41. Now, they said earlier they didn't see that smoke, but it sure did show up that time coming off that corner. See it right there, even a puff right there in the middle of the corner.
Straight out from under the car. Jamie Obey, pole sitter and early pace sitter here. Here's McCabe, still working that outside on Curtis Markham. Dick McCabe, the defending series champion in that long Pontiac.
Each lap. You just can't hardly drive around him, but he's just trying to pick his way by an inch at a time. Get a little bit here, next straightaway try to get a little more, and then down the corner drive on by. But that outside is really making him work hard.
McCabe in that 0 car started in 18th position. He's now up here battling at 7.
He's almost got him cleared, but once the 7 car come right back up off of this corner, he's been getting a little bit of distance at a time, but he just can't make the pass.
At the first part of the race, you can see the cars on the bottom will just drive right away from the outside lane. But as you go along and the racetrack's getting slicker, it looks like the outside groove may be just a little bit quicker now.
Dale Earnhardt and Jamie Obey coming back at him. Obey's ridden along a bit, let his tires cool. McCabe completes the pass on Curtis Markham.
Well, Mike, I talked to Pete Pennon. He's the crew chief on Obey's car, and I asked him if there was another problem. He said, well, it might be an oil leak. And I said, well, what about the brake problem that Randy reported earlier? He said, well, it might be that. So they really don't know what it is right now. But the smoke comes out when Jamie really gets on the brakes going into turn 1. I'm standing right here, so I really think that it's tire smoke. It could be that the chassis is getting down on the tire, but they definitely got a problem.
Up front, Kelly Moore has a challenge from the rookie driver from Windsor, Maine, Andy Santerre.
Well, he's been making his way up through the field. Santerre's really got his car working.
Boy, I'm impressed. I tell you what, he is a very young guy, and he acts like he's been here before. I tell you what, that's some driving there.
Santerre finished back in 23rd here in the spring.
Like Neil said, they learn fast. Passing on the outside.
He's been thinking about it the last couple of laps. He takes a look to that outside. The wall sure jumps up in a hurry out there.
You look at that car in front of you on the wall and you decide no about the time you think yes.
It's so easy to come off of a flat track like this and let that car jump into that wall before you know it. Look here comes Bessie right in the middle of the deal now.
Joe Bessie up to 3rd. having gone around Kenny Schrader, and now is right on the tail of the leaders. That was a big jump.
I can't help but believe the 47 car of Kelly Moore has slowed down a little bit for these other two guys to really bunch up on him. There's Bessie going to the outside.
The hard way.
Packed house here at New Hampshire. Bigger crowd expected tomorrow for the Winston Cup race. A race that after they took care of preferred reserve seat ticket holders, the remaining seats sold out for Winston Cup Day in 3 hours.
I tell you, everywhere we go, every radio station says, do not go to the racetrack. They're sold out. It's probably as serious as a campaign if I heard not to sell tickets.
Yeah. Santerre get just about close enough to put yellow paint on Kelly Moore's car, but not quite. We are 1/3 distance in the 150 here in New Hampshire with the modifieds to follow. TNN Motorsports exclusive coverage of the Auto Palace Slick 50 150 is brought to you by AC Delco. It's like buying time.
Well, welcome back to New Hampshire International Speedway, and pole sitter Jamie Obey, that tire smoker, the smoking problem has caused NASCAR to bring him into the pit. Right now, it looks like, in fact, I can smell it. That's oil smoke, folks, so it's a lot worse than what they thought. He's going to be in for the pits for a while, Mike.
Thankfully, Andy Santerre smells the lead.
Yeah, and not only smell it, he just took it. It's going to smell a lot better out front out there. And look at Bessie. We've talked over and over about somebody taking advantage of moving him over. He's wanting to go by when they made that pass, but he couldn't quite get by him.
Here comes Dick McCabe then. McCabe and Schrader.
There's no doubt the 47 car slowed the line down. Evidently he was falling off, and look what a group of cars is able to get right there for the lead now.
Joe Bessie gives several cars a real break here, but I tell you, he was up under the lead car twice a while ago, and he had a choice of touching the car or backing off and falling back in line. I think Joe Bessie's fastest car in the field, though.
Seems to be right now, though. I'm not counting out the fellow they've long. Oh, Earnhardt. There's trouble. Right front. See something dragging underneath the car. Everything's dragging.
He's got a flat tire.
Yep. Keeps it way up and out of the groove. Can he get down to the pit lane? That's the question.
Going up the back straightaway. Big piece of rubber on the back straightaway that time.
They're staying green. Earnhardt's going to run it in on the rim. And now there's trouble in the back straightaway. Is that our camera
Caution's
car?
out now.
Caution's out now. Here they come to the flag. There's the debris on the racetrack that has caused the caution flag, and here they come running to the line. McCabe underneath Santerre. Now they've slowed it down. They do not race back to the flag in the Busch North Series.
Well, Daryl Earnhardt is in. He's definitely going to go a lap down. It was a right front tire that he cut down. They took a little, or added a little bite to the car. Earnhardt was a little bit loose. He gets a cool drink. They've got a new one-pump jack on this car. Of course, this doesn't help him on this pit stop, but something that they're working on, trying to get the car off the ground in one pump. Taking a look at the left-hand side tires now. They've got it back down. There's definitely a problem here now. I'll have to check, see what it is, guys.
Trying to get Earnhardt squared away and back into this race. There will be pit stops during this caution flag. We'll be back to have a look at them after this. Race leader Kelly Moore is on pit road taking on tires, as are many, but not quite all of the leaders. Let's show you again what happened to Dale Earnhardt, as Earnhardt is back on the track when he cut down a right front tire.
He was coming off corner and tires down. Ooh, he did bounce it off the wall right there. Got in the wall a little bit off that corner. See the right front tire down on the car.
You can see it coming apart. There's pieces flying back behind the car. Nice still there.
But he's back up and running again. Up around side of Jeff Spraker, New York State driver.
You know, most tracks we go to, if anyone's going to have a tire problem on the right front, it's usually Earnhardt. He's notorious for running the car really hard down in the corner, and he ran it in there so hard a couple times it looked like he just exploded that right front, buddy.
Well, back in Dover, you know, he knocked him off the rim there. He drove so hard.
Yeah, and he was the only guy up there doing it that time.
We'll check scoring, but according to our unofficial rundown, Earnhardt is 1 lap off the pace.
It looked to me like as he came in and turned down pit road, they did come around. When that caution came out, he could have made it around, but I don't think the car could have survived it. Some people say,
right.
why wouldn't he have stayed out? But it was dragging so bad it probably drug the headers and everything off.
Also, the slow car on the backstretch as we went to caution was Shauna Robinson. They'd taken that car to the garage area. Bob Bear and the folks here at New Hampshire have done an awful lot to ensure the comfort and convenience of the fans. And one thing you don't see very often, down here below the grandstand, they've got the sprinklers on full blast so folks can come in and get a little cool, wet respite from the heat up there in the grandstand.
Tell you where I'm fixing to go. I'll be right back. Would it go good with my tie on?
I'm not sure. If the colors in that tie bleed, folks will have to adjust their sets.
Oh, me.
Well, now here's the question. Did Andy Santerre, by not coming in to get tires when the leaders did, was that the right move?
I really don't know how hard these tires are, but I think he made a mistake. I know at Martinsville there's a tremendous amount of difference in new tires and old. And you know, the Moore car, he come in right away and took on tires. So we're going to see something now. Santerre stayed out, and I think it might have been a mistake.
Okay, let's go down to Randy Pemberton.
Reg Ruggiero is sitting on pit road. He's about ready to get ready for the modified race now. He was a lap down before he came onto pit road to change tires, and they have stripped the stud on the right front tire or the right front wheel, and they're having all kinds of trouble. They can't get the lug nut on or off, so Reggie kind of stuck in the pits here.
Tough day for the driver out of Forestville, Connecticut. Holds numerous modified championships and trying to win his first national title this year in the modifieds.
And the way that call goes is if it does not have 5 lug nuts on it, they will not let the car back on the racetrack. They would probably run from now on the rest with 4 lug nuts on here, but you must have all 5 of them on just as a safety feature.
Getting ready for the restart here. Lapped cars to the inside. And we're lined up there with Dick McCabe up there with Kelly Moore. In second and third, Mike Stefanik is he's on the leaderboard. So we're coming down for the restart. 67 laps. There's Earnhardt getting his lap back.
That's new tires on Earnhardt's car. We'll get to see. Of course, he might have done some damage to the front end of the car. You hear somebody say he just barely hit the wall. There's no such thing.
Yeah, he bounced it off there pretty good. It's hard to tell. I was surprised that once he made that pass for lead, he couldn't hold it. But that 15 car has been plenty strong.
So Earnhardt trying to scoot away from the 3 leaders. Andy Santerre he's leading this race. He's still looking for his first career top 5 finish in Busch North, and he is out in front.
You see the 4th car there in line, that's Kelly Moore, and he come in for tires, so I think he's going to be tough for sure.
That's the Makita Tool car for Moore. That black number 47.
Santerre's not just giving up a whole lot of ground on those old tires. Kind of surprised me. I felt like those guys we knew was just jump around him and leave. But he's not giving that thing up.
That's why they call it a track tire. It's extremely hard, so they won't have tire problems with them. You know, like blisters and things that we worry about when you have the compound is perfect for the racetrack. So who knows?
Now the term track tire comes from short track racing, where the track will mandate that everybody runs one particular tire, one compound, and they set it at a fixed price for the season in the effort of controlling costs.
Like they also on the tire usually has a compound number on the tires on these cars. It just says Busch North. That's the compound.
That's it. There's Ken Schrader in the yellow 01. He's the teammate of this man in the black car, Dick McCabe, defending champ of the series. They've long called him the Irish Angel up here, but there's nothing angelic about his aggressive driving style. Look at him kick that thing out.
He's going to try that outside. And it looks like he pulled up beside him out there. Now the trick is you can get out there, but can you go on around?
The answer coming, folks.
Yeah.
Yeah, wait just a second. We'll have an answer for you
Make
here.
sure he can make the curve down here, not side by side. And he should get a little bit more run off that corner on that outside lane.
Now, there's a big difference in the first part of the race. You can run the outside now, so you can pass a lot easier. It's going to make for a better race.
Oh, me, got in there really hard, trying to get that distance he needed down on the car, and drove it out there and got that loose stuff. Had his hands full for just a minute.
Neil, it's tough here, especially down in 1 and 2, because this is almost a 4-cornered racetrack like Indy. You go down in that corner, you make that turn, and it's almost like a short straightaway between 3 and 4, and between 1 and 2. McCabe gets in that gas a little early, and there's still a whole lot more corner left.
You're right. You make that first initial turn, you make that commitment with the throttle, and then you got to really crank the car one more time.
What's the old saying? 3 is a crowd. Well, it's a crowd right now.
Kelly Moore coming up to make it a 3-way battle. Andy Santerre raced Super Sportsman, they called it, at Speedway 95 in Bangor, Maine in 89 and 90. Won the ACT American Canadian Tour rookie race in 1991 and won some open competition pro stock races last season, 5 of them. Works for his dad's wrecker and trucking service.
Well, guys, another aspect of this tire situation, Quint Beauvais, the crew chief of car of number 7, told me that the harder McCrary tires are picking up the soft Goodyear rubber that's on the racetrack in the Winston Cup cars. It actually made their car pretty tight, so that might be why we're seeing Andy Santerre be able to go so long. His car picking up that softer rubber is able to go longer, just not seeing the tire wear that you normally see because these tires are so hard to begin with, making a lot of these cars tight. A little bit of an unusual situation.
Very interesting. Kelly Moore up to second. Here's Dick McCabe trying to hold off Joe Bessie for third and not having a lot of luck doing that.
We've seen Joe Bessie all day able to make that move right there like Buddy's talking about. Get up there, and then he's pretty darn polite. He's not hit anybody yet. He'll get up under him, and then he seems to give them just a little bit of room when they try to close in on him.
McCabe, defending champ, also won the NASCAR North title in 81 and 82. Here's Mike McLaughlin, who was 27th after they waved the caution flag and pulled into the pits for tires. He is now battling Mike Stefanik for 5th place.
I tell you what, we heard our pit guys tell us that he would like to put a rubber in that right front. Bodine down there talking with him and trying to figure out what to do. He must have made a major change on that car because it's coming to him now.
I bet Stefanik wished he'd worked on his car like the other cars have been working. I tell you, those are major changes. When you start moving that track bar and things like that, that car was extremely loose, but he's flying now.
Kenny Schrader, a yellow Fisher snowplow car. That's the other Dick McCabe car. He's just gone by Mike Stefanik. That's for 6th. Ron Lamell was in the top 10, but his machine is now on pit road with the hood up. Schrader and Stefanik, former national modified champion, his late older brother Bob Stefanik, many times a track champion and 500 winner at Agawam, Mass.
Can you imagine how these modified drivers feel to get out of their cars and jump in a 6-cylinder after having a great big old motor set down in front of them with his big tires on it? It's got to be a different feel for them.
Oh, I'm looking at Santerre. He's fixing to put a lap on Earnhardt, so he must have had his, another.
Car in the apron, Mark Purcell takes a ride down the road course inside of turns 3 and 4.
He's already tried that one time before today. He was in the incident down in the first corner right at the first of the race. I mean, he figured now I'll put the steering wheel on the other end of this thing.
Santerre is trying to put Earnhardt one lap down again, but look at the shuffle he's going to have for the lead here. Reggie Ruggiero back on pit road. Earnhardt up high, Kelly Moore and Dick McCabe and Joe Bessie down low.
See, Earnhardt, he knows he's hurt his car, and he's just riding this thing out now.
AC Delco Auto Parts, available for almost any vehicle to help your car or truck last and last, brings you the mid-race recap. 3 different leaders, 2 lead changes. 26 cars still running on the lead lap here from the 41 that started. 3 caution flags, brief ones, average speed 92 miles an hour. AC Delco, it's like buying time.
Santerre's trying to make this thing look easy on those old tires.
He better not think it's too easy. Kelly Moore's right on the back right now, and I tell you, that car is humping around the bottom part of that racetrack.
Since 1987, when Busch Beer picked up the sponsorship of this series,
right
Kelly Moore 10 wins, and around again goes Purcell. Everybody gets by. Moving chicane there for a minute. Caution is out. Mark Purcell going around.
Looks like Santerre got in the back of a lap car as that group went down in turn 3.
back underway. See who the caution car picks up as the leader. Looks like Kelly Moore will have the front spot over Bessie and then Santerre.
Santerre we see on the inside pulling back up to the front.
Rest of the leaders will likely make pit stops here, and Santerre is probably headed for the pace car and pit road. We'll find out when we come back to New Hampshire after this. We're back at New Hampshire International Speedway. It's a triple header racing weekend. We're in the middle of the Busch North Auto Palace Slick 50 150, the NASCAR modified 40-lap shootout. You'll also see that live today on TNN as soon as this race is over. We're under caution. Let's show you again what happened right in front of the leaders.
You see Kelly Moore going down in the corner. Santerre never touched him. He just broke loose. I mean, just going in the corner hard, and the car turned around. This is your lead 3 cars, and everybody's trying to find a way. You see Joe Bessie go under there.
That was the lap car of Mark Purcell spinning. Here's another look.
Like you said, but he just turned the thing around right in front of the leaders.
I think he might have been aware the leaders were behind him, and he tried to go through the corner and not create a problem, and created one.
Here's Glenn.
Well, Mike, one of the drivers we see each week on the NASCAR Busch Series is Shauna Robinson. She had her Polaroid Captiva car here in a short day. Shauna, what happened?
Well, it's been a frustrating season so far, but, you know, we got to do everything we can to keep Polaroid Captiva behind us, and we just had a short day. It blew a motor. Car was running real good. You know, all I was doing is driving as hard as I could and passing cars, but it just didn't last long enough this time. But we'll go to Talladega with a good attitude.
Okay, better luck there, Mike.
Thanks, Glenn. Getting ready for the restart here. Martin Truex started 37th. He's now up running in the 9th position. Good run for the New York Stater. Now let's get the restart lineup sorted out here at turn 4. We're about to go green. Kelly Moore, the leader. That's Babe Branscombe. I think that's our camera car right there, about to overrun the Corvette pace car. No, check that. Down the front straightaway, the lap car on the inside was Stub Fadden. Number 16 car, white machine. Splitting up the leaders there. Field standing update brought to you by Napa, because there are no unimportant parts. Okay, lap cars away. There's Fadden battling Kenny Schrader. And Kelly Moore on the front.
Kelly Moore's had a fast car all day long. He's trying to work his way to the front. He's got it up there now.
Trying to keep Earnhardt a lap back.
Earnhardt wants that lap back pretty bad. He's made 3 or 4 passes down the front straightaway trying to get by there.
Trying to get on the inside, where you get that inside lane and try to make that pass for the lead.
Oh, it wouldn't fit. Earnhardt got it under there, and it wouldn't quite fit.
I want to know something, Neil. He said the toe in and all was off before the caution there, and after the caution, can he adjust that thing from the inside? It looks like it's working pretty well now.
Had it down off the racetrack on the flat apron part.
I think he just adjusted it from the inside outside.
Yeah, we had our pit guys had talked to him during the caution. They said they had the toe in knocked out on the car. Might have readjusted it that time.
Tough break for talented rookie Andy Santerre. NASCAR said he passed cars under the caution. No. Stop and go penalties on pit road now. Ooh. He's going to pull back out and stay on the lead lap, but just barely.
Boy, Joe Bessie was completely sideways coming off the Ford this one. He did a great job of getting the car back under control.
That gives Kelly Moore, George Lumber car, just a bit of breathing room. And Earnhardt just into the back of Joe Bessie there, loosening him up a little.
There's Schrader on the outside, though.
And here comes Mike McLaughlin. Made that early pit stop, made 2 pit stops to work on the car. From 27th, he's up to 5th with that 51 car. And Dick McCabe right with him.
McCabe got 2 good race cars on the track. Schrader's car and his, both of those cars running well.
Let's show you this with Earnhardt and Kelly Moore once again.
Ooh. Yeah, got together getting down in that corner right there. It's a wonder both of them didn't go around.
Yeah, but he made contact there, but you notice he didn't hit him the second time, and that's very important to a race car driver. If he meant to take him out, he hit him the second time.
I bet that changed the toe out.
need to adjust it.
88 laps complete.
We saw Schrader early in the race get a great battle with the leaders, and then at that last caution he kind of fell back, but he's right back in the middle of it again.
Jamie Obey drops to the inside.
Yeah, they black flagged him for that smoking problem. Evidently they fixed that. He's right behind these two cars. There's Morgan Shepherd in the 21.
That's Reggie Ruggiero in the Pyroil car, the number 13. Painted up much like his modified.
Ruggiero gets around. Shepherd gets down in the corner. Bessie's trying for that lead. He was up there right on the inside of the 47, trying to take the lead away from Kelly Moore.
That Ruggiero car is going to spend a lot of time on pit road with that lug nut problem. That strip stud. He was about 14 laps down as he battled Morgan Shepherd.
Kelly Moore's got to make a mistake before anybody can pass him. He's running just about what you call a perfect line around this racetrack to keep anybody from passing him low or high.
Just trying to become the 8th different winner on this tour this season. He has 2 second-place finishes, hasn't yet won.
Buddy, just as you said that, you could see as he came off the second turnover, he gives him that outside lane. He's not coming out, sliding out the wall. He's coming out and giving the outside. If you want to go around him, that's out there. But he's not going to let you have that inside unless he makes a mistake like you're talking about.
That's kind of like fool's gold out there, though. It shines, but it's not real.
It's real, but it's hard. You try and don't make it.
Bessie getting a little loose. You come around the corner here, and the corner looks so long and so wide, it looks like you've got all day and all kinds of room to work with here.
You see Earnhardt move over and let Schrader go by. This is going to be a 3-car race here in just a second.
There's Kelly Moore, led more races than anybody this year. And since this became the Busch North Tour, he's the leading race winner with 10. Not this season, not yet.
During the course of this race, buddy, you've said several times that Bessie might have the best car. I'm not so sure he does it there because he's run up on them. Even when they get on him before, he's been able to hold them off. But Schrader's pretty determined. He gets inside, he might take it. They're taking a look on the inside. Bessie's car slips the rear up off the corner, but it doesn't seem to hurt him that bad. He still keeps going.
Everybody knows how to save the tires and all. These guys up north know how. But I tell you, when you cut your teeth in modifieds and things like that, you learn to soft pedal those boys off the corner.
Yeah, because you're dealing with so much horsepower all the time in those modified race cars, and you just can't turn the tires over because you'll burn them off. And like you say, it's good training for him.
Well, Schrader runs every night, so he's in this group too. I'm gonna tell you, if anybody knows how to preserve tires, he knows how.
Well, he's not preserving much. He decided he's got the snowplow rolling here.
I think he ran last night down at Loudon, New Hampshire on the 3rd-mile trial.
I was out looking at snowplows. I was thinking about buying one after last winter.
You live in Alabama.
I know, but we had a 1.5 foot last winter too.
Use it once a century down there.
But I'd have the only one in Alabama, though. See,
that's for sure.
Who says? Looks like Earnhardt dropping to the inside.
Yeah, that looks.
Yeah, they had said that the toe end was out. Plus, there was some kind of rattling in the rear end. I don't know what's rattling, but it looked like it's finally over.
Lobster shells. Maybe going out to eat last night.
There's sparks. You can see sparks coming off that thing as he turned on pit road.
Well, this is unbelievable. We were talking about it before about how Earnhardt drives the car to the corner so deep. Looks like a right front tire, I think. Just came on the radio, said I got one soft on the right-hand side. He didn't even know which one it was. But he came right in.
You know, we talk about top show that you have you can use 2 tires, but I think if you have a problem like that one blew out, they allow you another one. So I don't know how many tires he can put on with a deal like that.
Did you see that right door on Earnhardt's car? Looked like a bulldog had been in there. I think they need to put a zipper on that thing so you can just change them real quick.
Like those stadium trucks. They run one heat race and they put a body on it.
Right. Kelly Moore leads Ken Schrader. Joe Bessie and Mike McLaughlin is now the 4th place car.
Schrader's really made up a good bit of distance once he got around Joe Bessie. Reeling that leader in now.
You know, Joe Bessie's impressive, though. he got past, but he's pulling back up on Schrader now. I tell you, that car is really strong. I don't know whether he's maybe saving a little bit for the very end here.
Talking about strong, Mike McLaughlin is right behind this pack of cars. Now, he was out to lunch when this race started. Had to move the track bar up. He had to put a rubber in the right front spring, but they've worked at it all day, and he's right in chance to win this race.
Somebody needs to get McLaughlin a Busch ride down south. Third place, Joe Bessie. It's 95 degrees here in New Hampshire. Does that heat bother these northern drivers against their southern counterparts, perhaps? We asked Joe Bessie.
I would say a little bit, mainly because they won't prepare for it like they should. It's just not common practice up here to put a lot of air into the car, and so they may just assume they'll be fine, and the heat could take the toll on some of the drivers.
Exclusive coverage of the Auto Palace Slick 50 150 on the Nashville Network is brought to you by Napa, because there are no unimportant parts. Everything's been happening while we've been away. Ken Schrader has gone to the lead, taking it from Kelly Moore. And an instant ago, Mike McLaughlin got third. Here's the pass for the lead.
And boy, what a jumbled up pass. There were a lot of traffic here. Schrader got to the inside. And look at Bessie. Bessie says, hey, I'm going with you. They come down in the corner here. Schrader keeps that inside line. He's able to take the lead coming off turn 2. Well, they got together a little bit right in the middle of that corner.
Bessie's just a little bit loose coming off the corner there, and then he just can't make the moves he wants to make. I think that's the reason he's back to third again.
One lap after that, Mike McLaughlin got past Bessie, and that took third spot away. Dale Earnhardt has taken his car to the garage. NASCAR had given him a stop-and-go penalty for being too fast down pit road. Earnhardt pulled in, contemplated for a moment that he'd already cut down or worn out 3 right front tires, and pulled it in the garage. We'll hope to get a word with him in a bit here. 105 laps on the board. Ken Schrader driving the Fisher Snowplows Pontiac 01, leading the Jordan Lumber Makita Tool Chevy of Kelly Moore 47. Mike McLaughlin in the Coors Oldsmobile 51, and Dick McCabe along Fisher Plows Pontiac number 0. Up to 5th place. After starting well deep in the field, back in 13th spot is Greg Clark from Old Chatham, New York, the Comp USA Chevy number 45.
Kelly Moore's car is much faster than Schrader. I think he got him on a little move there. I think the 47 car by far is a faster car, but Schrader is just, you know, he's relentless. He never gives up, and it's going to be tough to get by him.
Yeah, that pass we saw earlier was in lap traffic with a lot when things got stacked up. I'm like you, that Kelly Moore car really seems to be quick.
Andy Santerre, meanwhile, the rookie that was leading this race, he got a stop-and-go penalty and was almost lapped by the leaders. He has now distanced Kenny Schrader by more than a straightaway, but will need a caution to catch up.
I'll tell you, the guy that's making away out here's these 2 guys. They're going at it pretty tough. Mike McLaughlin right there in that 51 car. Good headsy race car driver. He says, guys, go at it, chew them up, burn them down. When you get through, I'll see if I can get around. Here's, talk about going around. Here's one spinning down here.
Scott DeWare. Pace Trailers Pontiac, that will bring out the caution. It's his first year on the Busch Series. He and I battled here last September, traded the lead 14 times, and a lot of paint and a lot of fiberglass and stuff. Pretty good road racer.
You've raced here a good little bit.
Yeah, it's a fun place. It
yeah,
really
you won. You didn't brag. You're supposed to brag when you win.
Yeah,
I don't do that.
I was going to say he's the only guy that's won up here in the booth up here, for sure.
He's on the road course. He had a real good chance of beating me and you.
We're under caution once again in New Hampshire. 109 laps complete. We'll be right back. High above New Hampshire International Speedway, our aerial coverage being provided by Ray Bestis, the best in brake. You see the packed house here at Loudon, New Hampshire. As they circulate under caution, 110 laps are complete. Let's go to Randy Pemberton.
Well, Dale Earnhardt out of his car, actually over at the motorhome. Dale, not too good a day for you. Had a couple of cut tires. Tell me about the scenario here.
Well, we blistered that first tire and busted it, and got in the right rear in the wall when we came off the corner, and It must have bent something or just a little bit, but it's okay on fresh tires, but it had that vibration to it. And then we came back and got rights and went back out, and they said we've run too fast on pit road. Says, well, I'm a lap down. I'm going to be 2 laps down, 3 laps down. You know, no points, and I didn't want to tear the car on up. I got to run the car back up here in the next race, so it'll be on radials. So the tires are just off for the car. Really, the car is probably a radial type tire car, so it's a bad day. Not a bad day, but not a good day for us.
What about the competition in this? There's some young guns out there doing pretty well.
Well, them boys are real strong. They run this tire every week, and this case, the McQuarrie's, and Schrader's in a good race car, and he looks strong right now. So, it could be Schrader's race, but his car owner's running pretty close behind him there.
Well, I know you wanted to stay healthy for tomorrow, Dale. You messed up a little qualifying, but I know your car's good, and that's probably why you did it. You drove pretty hard qualifying.
Well, I overdrove it a little bit, and just anticipating running fast enough to be on the pole, and just goofed up, really. But the car's running real good and consistent, and maybe we'll be okay tomorrow. I feel good about tomorrow. The car's consistent. That's what it takes to win a race. So if we can just be there all day.
Okay, that'd be win number 5. Mike Joy?
Well, Dale hopes to be the first Winston Cup winner on the nation's newest speedway, and he left his calling card on the wall there. Who was the first NASCAR Busch winner here? Tommy Ellis won the first race here. Here's Scott DeWare back on track. I'll show you what happened to him. Turn 1.
He's going down the corner here on the inside. Ooh, got a little bit of help right there. He's running pretty slow there, and car coming in really tagged him from the rear. Thank you, sir. I think I'll go around.
That was Greg Clark that ran in the back of him. I tell you what, when you hit somebody in the right rear like that and you turn them loose, they'll do the rest themselves, believe me.
Clark was the 5th place car. Here's Glenn Sullivan's car out of Norwich, Connecticut. Sullivan has just climbed out of the car due to the heat. Brian Ross, who won the race at Holland, New York, once finished 3rd in the ARCA 200 at Daytona in Kenny Schrader's cars. They're getting his gloves on and getting strapped in and take over for Sullivan and go the rest of the way. Ross is a good modified driver, and he's had some success on the Busch North Tour. Was one of the 10 cars that didn't quite make the show for this race today.
You're talking about cars that didn't make the show. They had a tremendous turnout up here in cars for this race. A lot of really good cars had to go to the house.
38 laps to go. Ken Schrader up front. Kelly Moore in 47 in 2nd. Mike McLaughlin 51 in 3rd. And as Earnhardt pointed out, Schrader's car owner Dick McCabe is sitting in 4th in the 0 car.
I think Earnhardt might know something we don't know, because he talked about McCabe being real strong. He's been out there, you ever know.
I still don't think we've seen all that Mike McLaughlin has to play in that Coors car. Down to the inside comes Reggie Ruggiero, a bunch of laps down in that red Pyroil car. And 3 leaders scored away.
Well, McLaughlin's got to be careful here. He just don't want to lose sight of these leaders and not work his car hard and let these other 2 really race hard for about 15 or 20 laps. And it looks like they're racing pretty hard.
It doesn't get any harder than this. Kelly Moore goes back up front, pinches the car, turns it down, and takes the low side away from Schrader. He's going to come back at him on the outside.
Well, I tell you, when he came off the corner, he came off so low, I thought he was having a problem, but the car really accelerated him off that corner.
Remember, Kelly Moore did that when he was trying to hold off Joe Bessie and the 15 of Andy Santerre. He'd come off the corner way on the bottom.
Neil McLaughlin losing sight of those guys. There's not a glass in the world that can help him see.
That's right. He's got to keep sight, because I'm telling you, these guys they know just like we do. There's not much time left in this thing. You better do it right now. But look how good that car, 47 car's getting off that corner. The other 2 sliding out the wall. He's driving right up off the bottom. Here comes that McLaughlin trying to make that move on Schrader. We've been anticipating this. Kenny gave him that inside lane. He thought he had a nose under him. He's out enough that McLaughlin can get the car up under him right here.
And here he comes. Back straightaway, Mike McLaughlin.
Boy, how the course of a race changes. 51 car, you wouldn't give 10 cents for it the first this race. They were off on chassis so much, and the crew really done a good job for him all day.
Well, Mike, you know all these teams. He must have a tremendous team to be able to fix a car that's that far off in this short a distance.
Mike Ricci, his crew chief, worked a long time on the modifieds. One of his former drivers, Ray Miller, is here to watch today. And there's the pass between the 2 long Pontiac team cars. Dick McCabe going past Kenny Schrader. McCabe running for points here. Schrader is not. As we give you a Napa field standing update, brought to you by Napa, because there are no unimportant parts. So McLaughlin may have something here for Kelly Moore. He is closing in. Mike McLaughlin from Waterloo, New York, first came to national prominence in a dirt modified car, Norm Foster's potato wagon, they called it. And he had some very bright white driving shoes. He's a rather short of stature fella, about 5'5". They began to call him Magic Shoes in upstate New York. He pedaled his way to a number of victories there. Came to the modified tour, drove for the Carrazzo brothers and the Sherry Cup team out of Kensington, Connecticut. Clyde McLeod was his crew chief, who now works with Todd Bodine on the Busch South Tour. McLaughlin won a national championship, chasing down Kelly Moore, winningest Busch North driver in the 5-year history of that tour.
And that car of his working right around the bottom of this racetrack all day long, almost a car length lower than anyone up off the corner. That really saves those tires. Ooh. It almost makes you wonder. McLaughlin moved up there. I thought he was going to be able to close up. It almost makes you wonder as he had to overextend his car just a little bit because McCabe's coming in on him now.
You see McCabe moving up like that. I think of the story that they tell about Junior Johnson telling Waltrip at halfway, you know, they was giving away a big prize for leading the halfway lap. And Waltrip said he's running in 10th place, and Junior said, okay, Waltrip, go on up there and get that prize.
It's a little bit harder at times than going up there the rest of the way.
31 laps to go. Front four, Kelly Moore, Mike McLaughlin, Dick McCabe, and Kenny Schrader.
I tell you, McCabe's car looks like it's working on the bottom as well as the leader right now.
Greg Clark, the 5th place driver, still looking for his first top 10 finish this year, so great run for him. 12th at Stafford Springs, his best effort. There's his 45 car, and Joe Bessie right behind him.
Yeah, the 45 was the car that ran in the back of the car and spun a while ago, and you can see the damage over on the right front. It might not be much, but sometimes it doesn't take much to upset these cars. But as he's been coming along here, he's been gaining and gaining and gaining on these leaders. So I don't think he's hurt the car that bad aerodynamically.
The last caution was a break for Andy Santerre, the rookie who led up near the halfway point. He's now up to 12th place. There's your 5th place runner, Greg Clark.
You see the first 7 place cars, they're running exactly the same times around this racetrack. My hat's off to them on this track tire. I'm real impressed that the competition is this tight.
Look at McCabe with the black car right behind McLaughlin. He gets that run in the middle of the corner. It looks like he can pull up. McLaughlin's car is really good down the straightaway. It kind of goes back and forth. One guy looks like, hey, he's got it. And now McLaughlin, we talked about him maybe fading, and now he's pulling back up on the leader again. It's just going back and forth.
Dick McCabe, one of the NASCAR North's winningest drivers ever.
Yeah, you see Schrader moving up on him. Schrader looked like he'd worn his tires out and was headed for the rear, and all of a sudden he's coming back again. I think what they do is realize they got the tires hot. If he's out for a little bit, then come back and make another run at it.
Schrader better be careful. That's the boss's car. He's up there. Might pull his permit on him.
McCabe also oldest driver in the field, 59 years old, and still winning.
God bless him.
Schrader's really moved in. Looked like McCabe's car fell off just a little bit. He slipped a couple times off the corner. Schrader's right there with him now. McLaughlin is either stretching it out or McCabe's backing up just a little bit to get some distance between them.
Well, standing by with Glenn Sullivan. He was driving car number 34, but he's had to get out for relief. Glenn, tell us what happened.
Yesterday I had a van door closed on my elbow, and it was okay during the race. You know, I went down and got whirlpool treatments last night and stuff, and it felt pretty good. I could move it. It hurt, you know, but during the race, you know, going through the corners, having to turn the car a lot, as the car started getting loose, I didn't have much of a choice. It got to the point where I couldn't use my arm anymore. So I let my arm sit on the side of the car and driving right-handed. And Ryan Rosler is sitting here, he's a good friend of mine, and the car was good, but I was holding the car back. I thought if Brian got in the car, he could run real well. You know, we need a good finish here, and we're doing halfway to the points. I thought Brian getting in the car could really get the car going. because I could only use one hand. It's starting to hurt a lot. They said I passed the pace car, but I did not pass the pace car.
Okay, well, he's got relief out there now, and I think he'll be okay for the next race.
Thanks, Glenn. Here's Mike McLaughlin. He's renewed his charge on Kelly Moore. And right behind them, the two Dick McCabe cars are side by side for third place. Schrader says, sorry, boss. We need the money.
That's pretty smart on McKay's part, too, not to fight him, because you could tell that Schrader had saved his tires a little bit, and he was faster. So that's the thing to do. You can make a run at him later when you cool your tires.
Looks like a run's being made right now for the lead. McLaughlin is reeling back in. 47, Kelly Moore. McLaughlin's really working hard right now. I haven't seen that 47 get off the bottom of that racetrack all day.
No, he's right tight around the bottom. McLaughlin has won this year at Stafford Springs, Connecticut. Kelly Moore has not. This series going road racing twice this year. They had a great run up at Watkins Glen, New York, and there'll be a second race up in northwestern Connecticut to close out the season. Here is Santerre. He's battling Martin Truex, and he is back in the top 10. He just took 9th place away. So after that stop and go penalty, fortunately the caution flag saved him. He got the catch back up to the field, and now he is up to 9th spot.
It won't be long before we see this guy come a little bit south, I think. He's got a lot of talent. You know, he's really up in the points. He's 9th in the points right now. I'm really impressed with him. I think if he gets back up to the lead up there, Santerre could do the whole deal.
There's Truex in 10th spot. Just back of him and pulling up on the Dragon wagon. Bobby Dragon, one of 2 racing brothers. Harmon Dragon, they call him Beaver. His brother, they both won a bunch of races up here. Back at the front, Kelly Moore continues to lead Mike McLaughlin. We're getting down to it. 20 laps led. Then the modifieds. We'll be right back. Faye Branscombe working hard. You see the in-car over his right shoulder. There's the vent tube Buddy spoke of on the bottom of his helmet.
But if you notice, he's got the shield up. He's getting a little warm in there. The whole idea of having that helmet like that is to hook it up so it blows cool air in there.
Yep. As Joe Bessie told us, a lot of the North drivers don't like to use a whole lot of driver cooling, don't much have the need. He's a 7-time champion at Star Speedway, and merchants in the city of Concord got together to sponsor this car and work out the in-car camera deal for today. So happy to ride along with him.
And for those looking out there, that's what it looks like to a driver. That's the camera that shows it the best, I guess.
Here's what it looks like at the front. Mike McLaughlin got up so close to Kelly Moore that the second section of the Concord paper would not fit between them.
For the last lap or two, he's really looking lofty. He's trying everything he can. You can see the 47 of Kelly Moore. He's giving him that outside lane. If you want it, it's out there. But it's hard to take that lane and make it work. McLaughlin made a strong run on him a while ago. See how much, look there, there's McLaughlin right down on the inside. A little bit of contact right there coming in the middle of the corner.
Kelly Moore, when McLaughlin gets under him coming out of the corner, Moore gets pretty loose.
It looks like a little touch, but that makes that lead car look in that mirror as much as he does out the windshield too.
You got to be careful when you're leading a race like this that you don't get too protective. You know, you've been running the car hard, trying to stay out front. If you get too protective, then you slow the pace down that you're running.
13 laps to go. Behind them, Schrader and McCabe in formation now. But up front, that's the battle for the lead.
McLaughlin has reeled him in several different times. He's made about 3 real sincere efforts to get around him, and he'll drop back, cool him, and here he comes again. And looks like he's fixing to make that run on him one more time.
Greg Clark still holding on to 5th. Joe Bessie is 6th. Morgan Shepherd now is 7th. The rookie Andy Santerre is 8th. Bobby Dragon is 9th. Martin Truex in 10th. 11th is Curtis Markham. 12th is Tom Rosati. 13th is Jeff Berry. 14th is Bob Brunel, and 15th Michael Olson. They're all on the lead lap, as are 6 more cars.
When you got 2 guys that have been battling like this 47 and 51 car here, don't rule out the chance of those guys right behind them. Schrader and McCabe have been running a straight line, and if they keep this battling up, I know there's not but like 10 laps to go right after this lap, but those guys still aren't out of the picture back in 3rd and 4th place.
Jamie Obey getting overlapped. The pole sitter.
Oh boy, McLaughlin's car really got out there wide. I'm not so sure when he made that last run on it, he didn't use a lot of his carb. He made 2 real good efforts to pass him, but he's lost some ground since then.
Kelly Moore, 1984 champion up at Oxford Plains, won 10 poles in one season, 1989. And here we go at it again. McCabe underneath Schrader.
I told you they was running the straight line, sideways.
And McCabe goes back into third spot. Does he?
And Schrader comes back.
There is no such thing as team cars, guys. When it gets 10 laps to go, that's for the dust there. They're after it.
Schrader's going to try it again. Is there room?
They do the body work at the same shop on these 2 cars. You don't need to do a whole lot of it. Okay, made the pass.
That's third place. Still got a good margin on the 5th place car. And up front, McLaughlin is right there with 8.5 laps to go. Back straightaway.
Now he's got that inside. That's the first time he's had that inside line on him all day.
That should be the difference right there. He has the preferred line now. I think he'll make the pass.
Kelly Moore.
Yep, there we go.
Ooh, loosens up McLaughlin.
Yeah, then he's going to try it back on the inside.
But he didn't have the jump off the outside that he did off the bottom of the racetrack.
Now, but let me tell you, McLaughlin's car seemed to be a little bit loose when he got behind him. Now, if he can get up there behind him and put some heat on him, he might loosen McLaughlin enough to get back around him.
Traffic will be a factor here. 7 laps to go next time by. We work around 3 car of Randy Snyder. McLaughlin leaving just about a half a lane on the inside.
I'm not sure he's going to leave that half lane. It looks like the back of these cars are a little bit loose. If Kelly Moore can get up there really, really close, he can cause some problems for him.
Moore right underneath the yellow line. Put it right down the center of the car there. In the middle of the corner.
You know, one thing you'll do, leading the race coming up with just a few laps to go, you'll even slow down the straightaway just a little bit, slow that second car down so he can't time it to get a better run off the corner on you. So you're all timing and where you're at now.
Mike, you said earlier the traffic's going to be a factor. Look right here. Here they are coming up on some lap cars. We're going to enter into it.
Barney McRae, and then just ahead of him, Brian Ross, in relief of Glenn Sullivan. 6 to go.
Kelly Moore looks like he loses ground. All of a sudden, he closes it up in one straightaway.
That hurt him right there. Ross moves over. He and McLaughlin, long-time modified battlers. Here comes Moore.
Yeah, no, McLaughlin cleared that lap car before they got through the corner. Kelly Moore didn't. That'd have cost him a little bit. He still having to contend with that car off that corner.
5 laps to go. Back at third place, it's still McCabe, and he has distanced himself from Schrader quite a bit. 6th and 7th, Morgan Shepherd and Joe Bessie, only a couple of car lengths apart, but not as close as this.
Boy, Kelly Moore really pulled back up on the back of McLaughlin then. I don't know. He may have something for him right here.
Look how he gains on it going down in the corner. Makes up a lot of distance getting down in each corner. But you can see how much lower he's able to run than McLaughlin. That's where he's been his strong suit all day long.
Mike McLaughlin, there's your third place car, Dick McCabe, in the black 0. And up front, Kelly Moore has caught right back up to the race leader.
Now, see, he's back off of him a little bit, but where he's really good is they go down in this corner. He's been able to drive right up on the back bumper every time.
And Schrader has caught Dick McCabe again in traffic. Three to go.
There's that lap traffic cost Schrader some distance also. It's just a matter of how you catch him. What part of the track.
I don't know about you, Neil, but I'm proud of McCabe. At 59 years old running a race like that, that's super.
Boy, and it is hot out there, too. Here we go. We see him close up. We see Kelly Moore close in. McLaughlin beat him up off the corner a little bit. But it looked like Kelly Moore's strong part is getting down in the corner. That's where he's going to make his gains on him.
In the points, McLaughlin leads McCabe by 21. McCabe in third place. Won't lose much ground here. 2 laps to go. And a lapped car. Just ahead of McLaughlin. That's Mark Purcell has spun earlier, now getting way to the inside, letting the leaders go past. And it'll be white flag time.
Yeah, McLaughlin's got enough lead. He's got a little bit to play with right there. He can give him up a little bit in each corner, not make a mistake, still pull this thing out.
Mike McLaughlin down into turn number 1. For the final time, Kelly Moore is going to pull it right up there. Hard on the throttle off of 2. McLaughlin, that little bit wider line, might have gained him a few feet there.
McLaughlin's got more work to do yet, but it looks like he's going to win this thing. He's got to hurry and get in another race car here right quick.
He has already won a doubleheader at New Hampshire, and he is halfway to it again. Mike McLaughlin. Coors Extra Gold Olds wins over Kelly Moore, and Dick McCabe beats Ken Schrader to the line.
Well, I'll tell you what, Mike McLaughlin did a great job. Those guys right there on the pit road up under that car, changing that track bar, working on the right foot spring. They do a lot of work to get him up front.
Mike Gricci, the crew chief. Brother Harry owns the race car. They have won again at New Hampshire. We'll be back to talk to the winners and get ready for the 40-lap modified shootout here at New Hampshire coming up next. Stay with us. Mike McLaughlin has scored his 5th win at New Hampshire International Speedway. It's his 4th in a Busch Grand National car. He also has a modified victory here, and he's trying to do what he did before and double head and win both ends of the twin bill here at New Hampshire. He's halfway there. Glenn Jarrett's with him.
Well, if you remember about 2 hours ago, Mike McLaughlin said if there's a V6 car that was going to win this race, it was going to be his car. Boy, it didn't look like it early on. You really had to fight it, Mike.
Well, we weren't fast enough to win yesterday, late cracks. Probably 3rd, 4th place car. And crew, and we all got together and said, hey, we're here to win. We changed 2 springs, sway bar, panhard bar. We had to pit the first stop, change the panhard bar back. I'm just happy for Coors and Wheels Discount Auto. They've been behind me. You know, we've had a few tough times, but times like this that make it all worth it.
Well, we're going to replay the pass that you made there to take the lead, and you look like you were biding your time just waiting on it. Tell us how you set that up.
Well, I was getting up the corner a little bit better than Kelly, and then he broke his momentum around his lap car and won. A little high, and they're out of 4, a little high in 1 and 2, and I had enough momentum to come up under him.
Well, congratulations on a great win. You're 4th here in this series, and you got this track figured out.
Well, it's been good to me. It's a great speedway, and Bear family deserves this crowd they've got today.
That's a fact. Randy?
Well, Kelly Moore standing here. Great run. Just, you a little short. Where was it? Where were you short?
Yeah, we were a little short in the department of coming off the corner. You know, we ran real good all day long. You know, the Jordan Lumber, Makita, Chevy Lumina ran real strong all day long. And, you know, Mike was just a little bit stronger right where he needed to be off the corner, and he got up underneath us, you know, and we gave him the room, and we tried to get back to him, and he just checked out on us. And he beat us fair and square. You know, we had a real good run, and we're going to run second to anybody. We'll run second to Mike McLaughlin. He's one of the cleanest guys out here.
Short race, 150. Long race maybe for you guys. What about the heat factor in there? It was pretty hot out here, I should say.
Yeah, it's hot. You know, the pace laps are the ones that kill you. You know, when you're racing, the heat really doesn't play a factor with me anyway, but on the pace laps, it really beats up on you. But, you know, there was very few pace laps today, so, you know, it really wasn't all that bad. You know, it was hotter, I think, out yesterday than it is today. We got a little breeze, so it was fair.
Congratulations on a good run.
Thank you.
Well, Mike Joy, it should be certainly a lot hotter at 300 laps around here tomorrow, but we got 40 laps to go coming up.
That's right. The modifieds are next year on TNN. Mike McLaughlin notches the win. Kelly Moore gets his third runner-up finish this season. Dick McCabe 3rd in the points by 36 behind McLaughlin. He finishes 3rd. His teammate Ken Schrader comes home 4th. Good run for Greg Clark today, winding up in the 5th position. That's his first top 5, first top 10 this year. Morgan Shepherd is 6th. Joe Bessie is 7th. The rookie Andy Santerre gets his best finish of the season. Bobby Dragon is 9th, and Martin Truex finishes 10th. 11th was Curtis Markham. 12th Tom Rosati. 13th Jeff Berry. Bob Brunel was 14th, and Mike Olson 15th. Here at New Hampshire today, Tom Bowles was 16th, then Mike Stefanik, Paige Jones, Barney McRae, and Buzzy Bazanson filled out the top 20 positions. All but those last 2 finished on the lead lap. Then it was Babe Branscombe carrying our in-car camera, Mark Purcell, Glenn Sullivan, Randy Snyder, and Stub Fadden, 25th. Jamie Obie faded to 26th ahead of Dean Ferry, Reggie Ruggiero, Scott DeWare, and Jeff Spraker. Dale Earnhardt in the garage 31st. Dana Patton, Keith Flamel, Shauna Robinson, and Ken Wallace. Brian Ross, Ted Christopher, Gigi Gravel, Steve Hoddick, and Ed Kennedy. Robbie Crouch, first car out of the race. Craftsman Tools presents our point standings for the Busch North Tour. Mike McLaughlin over Dick McCabe, and the margin 36 points right now. Curtis Markham is third, Kelly Moore fourth, and Jamie Obey drops to fifth. Coming up, wildest machines you'll see running under the NASCAR banner, the modifieds. Look at those big 15-inch wide steamroller tires on defending national champ Jeff Fuller's car. They'll go 40 laps here next, so don't touch that dial. Doubleheader action here in New Hampshire continues right after these messages.
Well, welcome back. We're getting ready for the modified segment of today's show, and I've got a guy here standing beside me who was a great modified driver, now a star in the Winston Cup Series. This is Greg Sachs, driver of the Country Time Lemonade car. And Greg, this is a fun series. I know you sure got a lot of action out of it.
Boy, it sure is, and this modified tour is putting on a great show here at MIS. You know, we've got a couple guys to really look for today. You know, Mike Ionisco is back there in fifth spot. The guy came out of the box with a brand new car without a lap of practice and set fifth quick time. Really look for Mike Ionisco to be strong. You got Doug Hebron in third spot, steady runner. He's going to be real tough here. And, of course, Eddie Flemke on the pole. Look out, Eddie Jr. will be real fast.
I know you're going to be standing by watching this thing. Who's your favorite besides Ionisco?
I'm pulling for Mike. Good Long Island boy, young fella, Mike Ionisco. He's going to be tough. He's going to be real tough.
Those New Yorkers stick together. Mike?
They sure do, Glenn. The modifieds, for my money, it's the most exciting division of racing in NASCAR. With those open wheels, you see everything the car is doing, how hard the driver's working. Neil, I remember you in Don Flynn's car down at Martinsville, that Stock Car Racing Magazine project car. I know you had a lot of fun driving that thing.
Mike, I was never impressed anymore by a car. The thing with the big acceleration they have, these big wide tires, you can hook it up on the track. You don't have any excuses. You got all the motor on, you got all the tires, you got to drive that thing to make it go to the front.
And as Greg pointed out, a lot of drivers have made the transition from modified to Winston Cup. Ron Bouchard and Jeff Bodine and Ken Bouchard, all rookies of the year. Brett Bodine did time in the modified, so did his brother Todd. You saw Greg Sachs, and Jimmy Spencer was national modified champion. His brother is in this race. One of the greatest ever to turn a wheel in an open-wheel modified, Steady Eddie Flemke, the late driver from Southington, Connecticut, was the leader of the Eastern Bandits in the 50s and 1960s that raced all up and down the East Coast, stealing the purse money by running out front. Flemke was a great. His son and namesake is on the pole for today. Here's Glenn.
Well, Mike, if there's anybody that loves a father-son racing story, it's me, because that's what I've lived all my life, and it's really a lot of fun to be able to talk to Eddie Flemke Jr. Got to be a big thrill for you to be on the pole in this bigger race.
Well, it's a thrill talking to you. I'd say this is something new for me.
Well, trust me, the thrill is ours. The car looks to be really fast. You're running the Winston Modified Tour solely now. You're looking for that first victory. You think you can get it today?
Well, I think we got a pretty good shot at it. You know, we're going to do the best we can, and we got Ron Bouchard and my brother-in-law gave me a few tips today, and we talked for quite a while and for plan and strategy, talked with Satch. We got our strategy planned there. I think we've got a good shot to get out in front and go.
Well, I think so, too. That's pretty good family heritage with a father like Eddie Flemke, a brother-in-law like Ron Bouchard. Now let's go next door to Randy Pemberton.
Well, Satch Worley sitting here on the outside of row one. I kind of like these cars. Nice and short. You get to rest your arm here and talk to the driver. Satch, not too good of luck here last time. I know you're running good, but you got in a crash. What about today? You feel confident about your car, your engine sitting on the outside of the front row?
Yeah, we made a pit stop in the last race up here and made a tire change, and it, found a combination that worked, and we were coming on pretty strong, and 9 laps to go on the restart. We were running like fourth and got in a crash and knocked us out of the race. But we supposedly got us a little restrictor plate engine here that's something different to what we've tried. We hadn't really run it, so I don't know how good it'll do, but from time trials in the indication, as long as we can keep the thing hooked up, we might be going pretty good today.
You guys don't run with the plates very often, 2 or 3 times a year. Is it a total different feel with the accelerator for you with the plate?
Oh yeah, we already run the 390 carburetor, which kills it a lot, but we're real light and real aerodynamic, so we still run fast, but it just sort of takes that surge power away from you all at once.
Okay, well, he may not like it, but if he gets out front, I think you'll see a smile on his face. Mike Joy?
I think so, Randy. There are a lot of great long-distance modified races, but one of the greatest, the Spring Sizzler at Stafford, Connecticut, in its old format, just 40 miles of racing, a real sprint. They've taken a page from that book today, and Neil, just 40 laps here. Now, that's a lot different from the type of racing we usually show on TNN.
That's right, Mike, especially the race we just left when they were concerned about tires going 150 laps. This race, 40 laps, you can cook them, burn them, slide them, and slip them, and they're going to be wide open for 40 laps.
Well, if you're a fan of door and fender cars, as the modified fans disparagingly call the late models, taxi cabs they call them too, let's give you a closer look at these wild and unique to NASCAR racing machines. Here's Buddy Baker to show us a modified close-up.
This is the modified. In my opinion, one of the most sophisticated race cars in America. I tell you what, you guys are in for a treat. 2,650 pounds, 364 cubic inches of raw horsepower. They're so fast that they even on a mile racetrack, you have to put a plate on them. Let's lift the hood here and let them see this thing. Now, I'm telling you, this is a land rocket, and they will put on probably the best show that a lot of people have seen in a long time. Let me show you the tire on this thing. Right here, that's a Winston Cup tire right there. Look what they have to get through the corner. That's what the modified tire is, 15 inches wide. Now, you talk about something to get around, Nerf bars on the side so the cars don't hang up and jump wheels. In my opinion, folks, tighten up. It's going to be a show.
Thanks, Buddy. The defending national champion in this division is a real throwback to the 50s and 60s, drive hard, race hard, play hard kind of driver. Jeff Fuller will tell you we're going out for just one after the races. He means like one at a time and keep them coming.
I tell you what, Mike, you know, this type of racing does go back to the first years of racing, and I'm telling you, the fans in this area really support it, and Fuller, no doubt, is one of the best.
Let's go down and meet him with Randy Pemberton.
Well, let's meet him with Glenn Jarrett. How
well,
about
him
that?
Too. Okay. Anybody. Talk
They
to
don't
him.
know who I am, Jeff. Do you know?
Glenn Jarrett, yes, I know you very well.
Thank you. Well, defending champion, you're a little bit back in the field, but you're going to make your way to front?
Hopefully. What happened yesterday was right before time trials, my motorman detected something in the motor that he didn't feel comfortable running it, so we had to pull out Old Faithful here, the backup car, and it's got the heavy quick change in it, and it doesn't really have all the trick parts on it, so we're just hoping for a good finish. I don't really expect miracles, but you never know what could happen.
Well, with Jeff Fuller behind the wheel, anything can happen, and usually it's pretty doggone good. Now let's go up to Randy. He's standing by with Reggie Ruggiero.
Yeah, another big name in this series here. Reggie, you already broke a sweat for a little while today. What's going to be the difference from getting out one of those cars, getting in this one?
Well, the Busch cars really don't handle as well as these modifieds do, and you have to sort of tiptoe in the corners, and we have unfortunately had a V8 in the car. I think that hurt us a little bit because the car was pushing all day. But all in all, we had a pretty good run. Worked up a little bit of a sweat. This car is like driving an air conditioning car. Starting eighth isn't a disadvantage today because the draft is very important in modified cars. So we're looking for this Auto Palace Sunoco car to go right to the front.
What about the rhythm in this car? Will it take you a lap or two to get your rhythm after getting out of that bigger car?
No, I've been driving modifieds for 22 years, and it's like walking across the street, so I don't have a problem with that.
Okay, good luck today.
Thank you.
So we're set to go for 40 laps in the modified shootout here at New Hampshire International Speedway. Going to be explosive racing. Stay with us and enjoy it here live on TNN. Welcome back to New Hampshire International Speedway. There you see them. Ed Flemke's car on the pole for today's 40-lap modified shootout. Sears Die-Hard battery, now with more power when you need it most, presents the starting grid for today's 40-lap modified shootout. Second generation standout Ed Flemke Jr. and the Virginian Satch Worley in the Bob Garbarino car on the front row. Doug Hevron driving for Lenny Bowler, who's owned a national title or two, and Tim Connolly, the Nazareth winner in row 2. Mike Ioannitsko, Greg Sachs pick. There's Rick Fuller, Jeff's brother, and just as talented in row 3. Jamie Tomeno, former national champ, and the fellow who's trying to win his first, Reggie Ruggiero, in row 4. Wayne Anderson, the veteran from Long Island, and Tom Baldwin. He'll have our in-car camera today. Jan Lady, the most beautiful car here, and it's fast. If it holds up, watch out for him and national champ Jeff Fuller. Row 7, Chris Amon from New York State and Mike McLaughlin doing double duty. Tim Ayer from New Jersey starts inside the 8th row next to George Brunholzl off Long Island. Charlie Pasteryak and John Preston from Connecticut and Pennsylvania. Then it's Tommy Craveno Jr. from Massachusetts in row 10 with Dan Meservey from Chatham, Mass. Two Pennsylvanians, Russ France and Paul Spencer. That's Jimmy's brother in a car that looks just like the one Jimmy won his championship with. Here's the national champ, Mike Stefanik, next to Brad Hytala from Connecticut. Tony Ferranti Jr. from New York State, as is Randy Hedger. SJ Steve Avanchin from East Hartland, Connecticut, and Carl Pastriak, the Polish paver, from Lisbon, Connecticut. Wade Cole from up on the Farmington River in Riverton, Connecticut, and Bob Park from Long Island. From Keene, New Hampshire, Dunk Rudolph and Rick Miller from New Smyrna Beach, Florida. Steve Park from East Northport, New York, and East Hartford, Connecticut's Bruce Delisandro. Then Tim Maroka from Torrington, Connecticut, and Dave Berube out of Bristol, Connecticut are the provisional starters. Big house here at New Hampshire International Speedway. Really packed for this doubleheader of racing and Winston Cup practice to follow in anticipation of tomorrow's Slick 50 300 for the Cup cars. $47,000 at stake here. 36 cars will start this race. They'll go 40 laps. Field separated by only 3 seconds in qualifying, front to back. We're about ready to roll. Give the command of fire engines. Look at how wide the tires are, how they extend out from the narrow, mostly Chevy Cavalier bodies on these cars.
It was kind of amazing to hear him talk about earlier about how the aerodynamics and the drafting entered into this race. I think one thing, the cars are so low to the ground, the tires are the thing that are busting the air up for them to get behind.
They only have to have 2 inches clearance from the bottom of that race car to the racetrack.
I'll tell you what, if Glenn Jarrett would have interviewed one more, he'd have broken his old bad back. He's leaning on his knees talking to these guys.
Doug Heveron. They caught him the young one when he stormed to Oswego, New York, winning super modified races by the dozens. Former Winston Cupper himself had a shot at the senior circuit. Ruggiero is the point leader. He's trying to win his first national title. Doug Heveron is second, was the early leader. Tom Baldwin is third. Rick and Jeff Fuller. The top 5, Jan Lady, Jamie Tomeno, Steve Park, Tim Connolly, Chris Amon. That's the top 10.
These cars here, they said they were like air conditioned. They are 125, 130 mile an hour air conditioning. No windows in the front of them. They're not going to have to worry about getting hot in these things.
And the neat thing, Neil, about these rear spoilers, it's a very tall Lexan spoiler. It's clear so you can see the driver ahead, but actually the spoiler starts with that big orange piece of interior sheet metal. That whole rear interior sheet metal is itself part of the spoiler system.
Well, with no windshield, the air passes straight through, and that's a downwing from the back of the driver all the way out to the back of the spoiler.
Yeah, you get to looking at the entire car. The entire body work of the car is like a spoiler. The roofs are laid forward. They don't have templates or stuff they have to fit like that, but they can do the work on the bodies themselves, and I'm telling you, they got them pretty slick.
Speaking of slick, Slick 50 300 comes your way tomorrow live here on TNN at the nation's newest super speedway. You'll see it at 1 o'clock right here.
How many times do you take all the Winston Cup guys and have to be a bunch of rookies? And that's what most of them have never ran at this track. Some of them ran some Busch races, but the bunch of the top guys are scrambling to try to figure out how to get around this racetrack.
Yeah, NASCAR had to scramble to find somebody to run the rookie meeting because most of the Rookie of the Year candidates have already won races here in Busch competition.
Mike, this has to bring a tear to your eye. You've been involved in this type of racing most of your adult life, and I know you've got to love this. Ooh, look at this camera angle.
Love this. This camera is mounted on the front bumper of Tom Baldwin's car. We call it Disposa-Cam because those bumpers are disposable. They just unbolt off, and that's Baldwin. It says TJ the Third just in front of where he sits, his grandson. And that's the rear bumper cam. We don't expect to have much left of this one after the race either, but we thought I'd give you some neat pictures.
These aren't the cameras we were going to use tomorrow, are they?
Not anymore.
Well, good.
Look at the offset between the left side tire to the body of the car and the right side tire there. Boy, those things, you talk about something to get around a racetrack.
You know, most types of racing, they tell you what the left side weight can be and that you got to have a straight up car, no offset in them. These things here look like side cars. They got all, the rims are offset to the outside on the right and inside on the left. They just shift everything to the far side.
You see our Baldwin, he's sitting almost even with the inside of the left front wheel.
Look at this air cleaner. The reason it's like that, they don't want too much air to pass through. We worry about a lot of things passing through the thing. They don't want too much air to go by. He said it'll blow the fuel out of the carburetor into his face if you don't use that.
There's the Sunoco Sickens paint car of Tom Baldwin.
Mike, you were right. These drivers actually do set partially inside of the left side wheels. They're shifted over far enough that they got their body weight, which really helps right on the inside of the car.
Yeah, the center line of the car is way over to the right. That air cleaner is in the center of the car. So the driver sits way to the left. The body is offset. And the roll cage, of course, give him a little better protection. See the wink mirror, that 5-panel mirror up above.
Well, you need that when those tires are exposed like that. You jump a wheel, you're out of here.
Cut off fuel switch directly inside the car. And I think they have fuel and electrical cutoffs for these guys.
They carry 55% of their weight on the left side. No more, according to NASCAR mandate.
They carry more, they're going to need a kickstand when they park it. As much as they're leaning to the left.
I think you're right. On the pole, Ed Flemke Jr., his second career pole in modified racing. Satch Worley in that Mystic River Marina missile on the outside of the front row will try to steal the lead from Flemke. One car fails to take off on the start. Ooh. Somebody almost got crossed all up in front of him.
It looked like the third place car, second row inside. I couldn't tell who it was.
That was Mike Iwanitzko.
Boy, I tell you, just couldn't get going on the start.
Now, you want to see some racing? Here we go. That's Hebron in the 3-car. On the outside, Flemke on the bottom, and Satch Worley's got the lead.
And the difference here is in the other race, you couldn't get outside until later. These guys got enough tire. They look like that garbage cans with rim with rubber mounted on them. They can go where they want to with these tires.
Rick Fuller in that white number 77, the Polar Beverage car, taking 4th spot. How close you are.
Boy, look here, the spread all the way across the back straightaway.
Up front, battle for the lead. Flemke on the inside takes it back from Satch Worley. Here comes Worley right after him again.
Yeah, in most races you'll tell the guy, let me know when we're right at the end. The end is near now. There's no laying back. You got to go for it right from the drop of the flag.
You know, seeing Ed Flemke's name up there, I guess all of us were brought up with Fast Eddie driving. Look at this.
Oh, around goes the 17 car hard in the wall.
Oh,
Jamie Tomeno
behind him.
Former
more
champion.
Cars hit on the back straightaway. They're still hitting. One car
one
airborne.
On the wall.
And comes down to earth. That was Tony Ferranti way up in the air. A grinding crash. And Flemke will lead them back to the line.
Several cars involved.
8 cars are littered along the back straightaway.
It's going to take a minute to sort them out who they are.
Down right rear on one of them trying to turn around.
Look at this.
That's Charlie Pastriak in the 5 car. 17 is Tomeno, who triggered the accident.
74 sitting on top of the 5 car, it looks like.
That's Chris Amon.
Yeah.
And a few more cars further down track. Jeff Fuller was there but pulled away.
Hopefully the 74 is sitting on the engine compartment. Yeah, we see the driver moving in the 5. That's a good sign.
That's Charlie Pastriak. He and his brother, who's also in this race, run a paving business.
I wouldn't doubt that right front wheel didn't run up the driver's compartment.
Now that's Tony Ferranti. That's the car that just about climbed the wall, came back down. He's there along with Brad Hietala. Ferranti climbing out. Brad is okay. He takes off the removable steering wheel. He's all right.
Boy, they crawl out of it quick. They're sitting on the ground when they get out.
Well, the racing is wild and the action is too. We're going to come back and show you replays of this as they untangle the modifieds from the backstretch here at New Hampshire. Ed Flemke leading Satch Worley and Doug Hebron. The modified shootout has become a shoot 'em up. 8 cars are littered on the backstretch as a result of this accident. That's Charlie Pastriak on the right corner of your screen. That's what's left of his car right alongside him. He climbed out unaided and uninjured. That's Jamie Tomeno in the white and red STP suit leaning over talking to him. Here's one angle of what happened.
See the car turn right on the outside wall.
It's Tomeno and Fuller.
They're going down. The problem was some cars got to stacking up way on back down the racetrack. Look, he goes back out in traffic. The 2 cars are already on the inside, one on top of each other here.
And the hits just kept on coming. That's Russ France in the 08, the white car. Buddy.
Oh, man, I tell you, it looked like a Daytona. Look at the car way up on the wall over here.
Tony Ferranti.
Man.
He about got out of the place. We saw him coming down. He'd been up on the right side, then he went back up on the left side, just about went out the back straightaway.
You know, it looked like a wreck in Talladega. These cars are they accelerate so fast off the corner that when something starts, it just starts a big chain reaction.
The word we have is that everybody is okay. There's Chris Amon walking around. I believe he's still helmeted. Jamie Tomeno, that's the 03 car being hauled off. Randy Hedger that was also involved, and that puts the total up to 8 cars in this accident. It started out with Tomeno spinning and then Jeff Fuller getting into him. Here's another angle coming off turn 2.
Okay, he's sideways there, and he just overcorrected and turned just like on a super speedway wreck, you know, at Daytona, Talladega, where the car went to the outside wall.
You can see way on the right side coming across the dirt. That's where the 2 cars climbed all over each other, and then they run in the inside wall, and the 3rd car comes in, makes contact also. Left side of the screen, boy, I tell you, he was just about out of the ballpark.
That looked like the Richie Evans, Jeff Bodine finish at Martinsville back about 13 years ago.
Look at this shot.
Top of the screen, that's Amon going to the left, the 2 blue cars with Pasteryak.
Then the car's going to hit on the right wall over here.
Oh, there's
Watch the
Fuller.
right side. He's bound to hit.
Yep.
Okay, clips that left side, and then he's going to start climbing this wall. There he goes.
And out of frame. Wow.
Pretty hard contact back in the back, buddy.
Let me explain what happened there just a little bit to the person that's sitting there watching. They said, well, why did he overcorrect? What happens? These cars are all set to the left side, and when you crank one sideways, you automatically turn into the slide, and then when it does take a hold, it grabs, and away it goes to the wall.
Now look on the right side of your screen from Tom Baldwin's car at speed as it happened.
Oof. You can see that back end break loose like we were talking about, and he corrected a little bit and went straight in the outside wall.
Jeff Fuller's car was the car into Tomeno in what looked like it could have been a simple 2-car accident. Now all of these teams, like the Winston Cuppers, have spotters up on the roof to advise them, but when things happen, we'll show you this aerial view again, and you get an idea how tough the job of the oncoming drivers is to avoid something that's happening, let's say at the outside of the track, and then starts coming across it. Where do you go when you're coming up on this?
Well, one problem you have is you can't just get out of the throttle because they'll run over you from the rear. You got to be able to drive on through a wreck. If you just lock the brakes down, you're going to get hit about 5 times from the rear. So you're just trying to make the best choice. But who knows which direction these cars are going to slip and slide, hit, and bounce off another guy. It's just kind of hit and miss.
Look at the dust there, too. The vision's gone. When they went in the dirt over there, it covered the whole racetrack.
The defending national champion is on the sidelines early. Here's Randy.
Jeff Fuller standing here, not too happy. What happened out there? You were right behind it.
The 17 car, Jamie, looks like he just lost it in front of me. I don't think I was close enough to take the air off his rear spoiler. He was a little loose the lap before that too, and just got crossed up and come back up across the track there. It's a shame.
Aerodynamics play as much of a part in this as you would think, I guess, with these smaller cars.
Definitely. If you don't know how to utilize the draft out here, you're not going anywhere. If you step out of line and get a little bit out of the gas or whatever, it's like holding a 4x8 piece of plywood out in front of the car. So the draft plays more of an effect than what people realize, even though you don't have a full windshield in the car and you don't have the aerodynamics as the Busch cars or the Cup cars. The draft plays a big time effect.
You've surveyed your car. How much damage? What do you got to do to get back out there?
We're going to have to put a front shock tower on. That's going to take a little bit of time and a rear shock, and there's other bent pieces, but there was enough cars out there that went out in that wreck that we've got to get the thing fixed and get out there for the points. Just a short day for the Sunoco car, and I think we could have had a good finish out of that, but there'll be some other day.
I know this can hurt you in the points a little bit. That's why you have to get back out there. But how many cars were back there? I'm not even sure standing on pit road. Could you tell?
There's probably 5 or so back there. Things just happened so quick, and it's just a tough deal.
Talk about your thoughts. They're going to show the replay right now. Talk about your thoughts when you went into turn 1. Obviously, nothing going on there.
No, nothing going on into 1. We got about halfway through 1, coming out of 2 there, and like I say, Jamie's rear end just come out from underneath him, and if you're behind a car, if I was directly behind Jamie and real close to him, I could see taking the air off his rear spoiler, which would loosen the rear of the car up, but I don't think that I was directly behind him or that close. Watch the replay show that I hit him. I don't know.
Okay, Jeff. I hope you get back out there.
All right, thanks a lot.
Well, Randy, no, he did not get into Jamie Tomeno, but everybody got into him. Now, you see nothing going on in his pits. That's because we're under the red flag, and NASCAR does not allow any work on the cars during a red flag situation.
Mike, what they're doing, you can see the spare tires and everything like that laying against the wall. They're getting all their parts and pieces ready, and the minute they go back to caution or green, whatever the situation is, on the red, they cannot work on the car, but they're getting ready to.
Folks, they race fast and hard in this division, but when things happen, well, they happen in a big way, too. Here's the way they're running right now. 3 laps complete under the red flag. Ed Flemke Jr. leading Satch Worley, Doug Hevron, Rick Fuller, and Reggie Ruggiero. Tim Connolly in 6th, Mike McLaughlin, Tom Baldwin, Jan Lady, and Wayne Anderson, the top 10. Then it's Tim Ayer, George Brunhosel, John Preston, Tommy Craveno Jr., and Dan Meservey.
That wreck right there kind of took the center out of the field. The front guys were up there, took the middle group out of the pack.
Yeah. That third car in line, as we're on, see this red flag situation there. Doug Hevron driving for Lenny Bowler. Bowler's won national championships with Fred DeCero and Bugsy Stevens. And Hevron has his own unique piece of racing history. Nobody will ever forget the battle on 4th of July, 1982. God, I forgot that date. 84, excuse me, 84. Cale Yarborough and Richard Petty at Daytona. They raced bumping and scraping down to the flag on the caution 3 laps from the finish. Was Richard's 200th win. Well, this is the guy who flipped in turn 1 to cause that caution. Doug Hevron. He has since done a lot better here on the modified circuit. We'll be right back to New Hampshire International Speedway and get this race restarted. Live at New Hampshire on TNN. Mike Joy with Neil Bonnet and Buddy Baker. Glenn Jarrett, Randy Pemberton down on pit road. And the modified racing has been as spectacular as we promised you, but not in the way we had hoped. 8 cars have been badly damaged or perhaps eliminated in a grinding crash on the back straightaway that started when Jamie Tomeno lost traction coming off turn number 2, and then when the car got bite, it slammed into the wall. Jeff Fuller hit him, and the hits kept on coming. Damage assessment right here. Here's Glenn.
Well, Mike, I'm standing by with Charlie Pasteryak, and to me, an amazingly calm Pasteryak. Look at his car. Look at the roof line here. The 74 car went right across the top of him, melted the shield in front of him, did tremendous damage, and you're just standing here and with really a smile on your face. You got to feel pretty lucky, though, Charlie.
Yeah, I was really very fortunate. It was just somebody got loose up in front, and I don't know whether it happened to aerodynamics or whatever, but it caused a big backup to me. I lifted just to crack the throttle a little bit. The 74 came right over the top of me, and then it was all dusty and dirty and grassy, and then that was it. That's all that was left. That's all I remember.
Well, what were you thinking about at that time? I mean, I know it happens so fast you don't have much time to think, but that'd be a heck of a sensation, the car going across you like that.
Yeah, it makes you wonder if it's ever going to stop. You know, it's a really long ride because we slid quite a ways. If you can see in the replay, we slid quite a long ways, and I'm just disappointed. I really wanted to do well today.
Well, now, this is a points race, so under red flag conditions, we said you can't do anything, but as soon as the yellow comes out, you guys got to go to work.
Yeah, we're going to go to work and see if we can go out and make at least a couple laps to get ahead of them guys that are out too. So we'll do the best we can.
Okay, glad to see you're okay, and let's go down to Randy for another report.
Well, there you are looking at what's remains of Jamie the Jet Tomeno's car. Jamie, how did you see it from your perspective? What exactly happened?
Well, back of my car broke loose, and I tried to save it, and it might be entirely all my fault, to be honest with you. I really don't know if something broke on the car or what. But I overcorrected the car. When I overcorrected it, it shot towards the wall, and it collected a whole bunch of cars, you know. It's a shame if it is my fault. I mean, I didn't want that to happen, you know, and it's just a terrible thing. You know, STP's here helping me out along with airport transport here. I don't know what else to say except I hope the rest of the race goes real good, and I hope the fans get to see a good race.
Jamie, what does this do to a modified operation when you bust up a car like this? Explain to the fans. They realize about Winston Cup. There's millions of dollars in there. What does it do for a budgeted team like yourself?
Well, it's all about the same basis. You know, we're not running for the hundreds of thousands of dollars, okay? And also our teams doesn't run that much money and stuff, you know. But still, it's a couple $1,000 damage, and it set any of us back, you know. But somehow or another, we'll get through this crash, rebuild the car, and we'll be at the next race, which will be at Riverside Park in Massachusetts, and we'll just keep on going, you know. Once again, I'd like to say I'd like to thank my sponsor, STP, for this weekend.
Thanks, Jamie. Mike Joy.
Nice thing there, Randy, is that most of those parts that are bent and damaged on Tomeno's car on these Maynard Troyer chassis, most of them just bolt on and off. All the suspension components, bumpers, sheet metal and all, you can just take off, and the frames are pretty sturdy. A lot of great racetracks and racing here in northern New England, and one of the most popular of those tracks is located in Maine. Here's Ken Squire.
In 1963, Bob Baer was a successful midget racing car owner. But by 1963, the midgets were drowning in the sea of stock cars. To help the midgets out, he leased an old rundown half-miler to race midgets on. Where? Oxford, Maine. Where? Well, 40 miles from nowhere, he was told. He brought the open cockpit cars to Maine. Maine brought him a whole new understanding of stock cars. And Bob Baer's Saturday night races at Oxford Plains, Maine, became one of the greatest weekly short track success stories in America.
State of New Hampshire loves TNN. Well, we love the state of New Hampshire too, but turn on the air conditioning.
Turn on the regular weather. It's supposed to be up here.
Yep, 95 degrees today. Now there's Tommy Baldwin's car, and you see alongside him that right side sheet metal in the car. From that windshield on, it's not a windshield, it's just a screen, a debris screen. And from there all the way back through the car, all that interior sheet metal acts as a spoiler and helps guide that air back onto that huge Lexan spoiler at the top of the rear trunk panel. See the oil cooler mounted actually outside the car, outside the right door, and all that sheet metal comes up and over. A lot of downforce.
That's one reason we hear these guys talking about they didn't know if another car might upset them. When you're using that much air to control the handling of a race car and you take it away in a hurry, it's a big upset. When Winston Cup cars, you got 6 inches back there to work with on a spoiler. You lose it, it's not that critical. But you lose this much area and they get a problem in a hurry.
Riding with Baldwin, the modified tour goes next to Ed Carroll's Riverside Park in Agawam, Massachusetts, then to Holland Speedway in New York. In the month of August, they'll be on Lee, USA, and then the fast 5/8 bank mile at Thompson, Connecticut, and Riverhead Raceway, a little chunky 0.2 of a mile flat track at Riverhead, New York, on the end of Long Island. Coming up, we're under yellow now, so Charlie Pasterjak's crew goes to work.
They're working on the carburetor. When that car went over the top of him, it must have actually tore the carburetor from top of the car.
Something else you see, the driver actually working on the car. You don't see that many times.
Yeah, and looks like he's fixing to get him a convertible to race with.
That's his brother's crew from Carl's Tony's Pizza Car helping out. Some of the Art Berry group. Here is Jeff Fuller's car, the Sheba Racing team.
Knocking the shocks in the spring area off the front. They're going to replace the tower up here, they said, some of these cars.
Neil, did you hear him say only a few $1,000s worth of damage?
I'll tell you what, if that's the case, these cars have got some cheaper parts to bolt on them than I realized. But like Mike said, one of the keys to these type chassis, they know when these open wheel cars, when they bump, they're going to tear something up.
Yep.
And they're virtually throwaway areas of the car. You lose the corner.
Well, there's still some work going on. We've moved away from Pasterjak's car now. But Neil, you were exactly right. The carburetor, when that car went across the top, it sheared the air cleaner and the bolt, the stud that comes out of the top of the carburetor right off with it. So they had to change the carburetor so they could put an air cleaner back on it. They're working frantically. This is Russ Francis' car that we're looking at right here. They're working also really hard to get him back in the race. So a lot of activity going on down here right now.
The rest of the field continues to circulate under the caution here. We're not too far away. We're a lap away from a green flag. And Ed Flemke Jr., who when he wasn't driving did a lot of fabricating and now builds race car chassis along with Reggie Ruggiero, is in the lead as we go back to green. Flemke's had a varied menu. He's raced modifieds. He's raced Camel GT cars for 24 hours a Daytona with Paul Carrazzo.
Now they'll have to be a little bit careful in this back straightaway. A lot of oil drying stuff on the track. That stuff blown out of the way a lap or two.
Worley is second, Hevron is third.
Look at all the used rubber there and that last shot flying up there. That's slick too. So it'll take a lap or so to get this track back normal.
Rick Fuller in fourth. Worley for the lead.
Worley did this earlier and Flemke was able to come back. Ooh, wanted to try it right then.
Satch Worley to the front. Rocky Mount, Virginia, right near Martinsville, where he's had a lot of success, and Flemke wants it back. And gets it. Here comes Hevron and Fuller. Worley's going to get freight trained.
Yeah, Worley made the pass 2 different occasions, took the lead, and they took it right back away from him.
Reggie Ruggiero, the red car, coming into view.
You can see these cars actually hang the left side wheels down below the line and still hook up.
see Doug Hevron jump to the inside there. He's trying to make the pass now.
And I mean jump. When you make a cut with these 15-inch wide tires, things happen fast.
Yeah, and you saw the car behind him sitting there just shoving him with that Nerf bar, pushing him on by that other car.
That's Rick Fuller in 77. Jeff's brother dives to the inside. Here comes Worley back on the inside.
Look like slot cars. They make that move so quick on the track.
Where are you going to see a show like this? Look at them, too wide.
Look at this shot.
Baldwin inside of Jan Lady from Williamson, New York. Now the Art Berry car, number 21, coming up with Mike McLaughlin aboard.
Look at him working the steering wheel right here.
Now, you want to know why they couldn't see the wreck in front of them? Look what you can see.
See the back of an air cleaner.
McLaughlin picks up a notch. And then 15, Wayne Anderson's car from Long Island. Single file for the moment.
I tell you one thing with these cars, these things make such quick moves. In a Winston Cup or a Busch car, you can leave a little bit of gap in between the cars. You leave some room here, somebody drives in that hole. So these guys have to keep these cars just nose to tail all the way around the racetrack.
Jeff Fuller's back in the race. National champ has lost 7 laps in the pits. Rick Fuller running second in the Kurt Chase car. And Satch Worley up the outside.
You know, you can actually see the draft here. He had a nice draft off the lead car there and just drove right past the second place car on the outside. Now he's having to earn and keep the.
They could put him 2 wide and even 3 wide on this racetrack.
Right, one thing I think.
Ooh, bang! There was a big bump on Ruggiero by Mike McLaughlin.
Yeah, and they're stacked in there, four to six of them in a pack. Somebody makes a hit like it's a wonder to take a bunch of them. We was talking about running. See, look at the left car motion. Come on, you see him waving his hand?
Well, that's his.
Telling that red car to come on with him.
In a way, that's his teammate. That's Ruggiero. Flemke and Ruggiero are business partners. They build these modified race cars and the Pro Stock type cars that run in New England. Flemke dives to the inside.
Well, I guess he felt like 2 360-inch motors were better than one. Just push.
They'll do it.
Man, look at this thing stick in the corner, huh?
You come to the track for a weekend with 3 front bumpers, and if you're lucky, you get to take 1 home in 1 piece.
Yeah, but it might not be yours.
Right. From the rear bumper cam of Tom Baldwin.
There was a car there just a second ago. Look how they dart around. One reason I was going to say earlier, I think they can run outside. They use that left side weight so much that actually when they're in the outside lane, they've got those left side tires down where the normally would be right sides for another type car. So they really get a hold.
Battle for the lead. Satch Worley. That's Doug Hevron on the outside. And Ruggiero stalking Hevron in the high groove. And here comes McLaughlin, who just won the Busch race. He is 4th in the number 21 Art Berry car.
He's 4th and he's 8 foot back.
Right.
Right on top of it.
Baldwin wrestling with a wheel. A very aggressive, charging style driver. And Ruggiero goes to the inside on Hevron. This for the lead.
Yeah, Hevron's holding him off on that outside lane, something we haven't seen the other time. Slid right up in front of him now. Like they were coming up on a lap car.
Reggie Ruggiero won track championships at his Plainville Stadium in his hometown. Then came up to Agawam, Mass. Had a long tenure with car owner Mario Fiore that Mike Stefanik now drives for. Drops to the inside. Hevron's right at him.
I thought he was coming in the pits on the back straightaway. Look at the 21 car. Really coming up through there now.
Neil, that's the same strategy you used at Talladega places to break the draft, but it didn't work. He got caught on the outside there, and these 2 cars drafted right by him.
When you talk about somebody doubling up and winning 2 races, look at Mike McLaughlin right there in 2nd place, and I mean, he's waiting for somebody to move. He's ready for the lead.
He has won both ends of a Busch modified doubleheader here at New Hampshire, and he's trying to do it again. We're coming up on halfway. We'll be right back. Back live at New Hampshire as you watch from the Raybestos Brakes aerial cam. The racing, yes, it's been this good. We've only had about 9 lead changes during commercial. Hevron, Ruggiero, McLaughlin have swapped it back and forth.
They're swapping the lead not every lap, but every straightaway. You see one, they'll get together and 2 of them will push by. He'll move over, the next guy will push the other one by. They've just been passing on each straightaway.
And that second pack, the action's just as good as it is in the front.
See if they can make that pass up the front straightaway again. Tucked in there real tight this time. One car takes a look at the inside.
9 official lead changes to start finish. count them all, there's been more.
And while they were racing side by side, Rick Fuller's pulled right up in the fray here. So we got 4 cars going for the lead at all.
How close can it get?
Well, not any closer because he's actually pushing him down the straightaway. Yeah. He'll take that Nerf bar and he'll lay it on that back bumper, and he's wanting to get the 3 and the 21. They're wanting to get away from that other car. See him hit right there? You just lay it up there and shove and try to make them all get away.
Yeah, Neil, that's not to harass him. That's what the road racers call bump drafting. The front car moves the air, and with that spoiler, he creates such a hole in the wind. The back car is only using 3/4 throttle, so he'll just nudge you along to get you both going down the straightaway a little bit.
That car actually hit 2 different times. It hit him, got off of him, bumped him again.
What you do, you set your height so your front bumper matches with the rear bumper on these other cars. Right. That'd be a disaster if
they just need a tow bar.
Just a more trailer hitch.
Trailer hitch and a tow bar.
I think he's got a trailer hitch right there.
There he goes, shoving him down through there. Well, see, it's working. Look at these 3 cars here. They're able to get away. They'd rather fight 3 of them and get a big group back together.
Folks, if this doesn't excite you, check your pulse. Hevron the leader, McLaughlin second, Ruggiero is third, Rick Fuller is fourth, Ed Flemke the pole sitter fifth, Tommy Baldwin sixth, Jan Lady is seventh, Satch Worley is eighth, Wayne Anderson is ninth.
Now you got to have somebody who's really on top of him. See him leaning on him? He has to wait till the right time. He can't afford to do that coming up off the corner. He's got to get on and push as they go down the straightaway. Touch him in the middle, they're going to turn him around.
Fourth place battle here. Rick Fuller on the left, Ed Flemke on the right. This is not racing for the timid or faint of heart. McLaughlin trying Hevron again. 1 car in the wall, turn 1. 2 of them crashed hard. I think that's Jeff Fuller up in the fence. Tough day for the champion. Caution flag, lap 26. Yep. Jeff Fuller.
Fuller's got to look at the left front turn completely, and he can't get the car to move. He's wanting to get it back in the pits again, see if they can fix that, but he's grounded out there this time.
Yep. And you see him undoing the seat belts there.
Brad Hietala was also involved, and there's 1 other car stopped down at the inside of the track, just to the right of Jeff Fuller's.
Yeah, there's a complete wheel laying up there by the edge of the guardrail. I don't know whose car that came off of.
And there's the other automobile involved. That's Bruce D'Alessandro, famous racing family out of East Hartford, Connecticut. They owned Dodge-powered modifieds for many years.
Looked like the rubber came off the rim, just a bare tire sitting there.
There's no wheel there. It's just the tire sitting up there. Well, that's a hard lick when you do that.
We'll have another look at it. Watching now from the Ray Vestas cam. There's D'Alessandro. There's Fuller.
Fuller's wheel, look, see the tire flap there. He must have snatched a wheel off of the rim.
Yeah, the wheel's still on. You see it? It's just hanging on, turned into the inside there.
It's almost like that tire just appeared from somewhere. I can't tell where it came from.
Not a good day to be national champion. As you ride with Tom Baldwin, here's a look at your top 10. Hevron, McLaughlin, Ruggiero, Fuller, and Flemke, the first 5. Lady, Baldwin, Anderson, Tim Airy, and Tim Connolly, the top 10. A little warm out there in the grandstand today.
It's going to be a little warm when we restart this race because 3 guys had broken away. And now, guess what? We're going to stack them back up a big wad again.
22 cars still on the lead lap. New Hampshire International. 12 laps to go. Hope it doesn't take them long to clean this up.
No, I don't want to miss any of this. I tell you what, that Doug Hevron probably enjoys the rest a little bit right now, though. This has been hot and furious here.
Charlie Pasterjak's car for being involved in that first wreck that red flagged the race.
What they were trying to do, he said earlier, they want to just make a few more laps. Some of the guys fell out in that very same wreck he was in, was not able to restart. If he can make 1 more lap, he can pick up 3 or 4 positions for points because some of the cars could not restart. Look at that thing that darts around.
Look
I
how
mean,
much.
you turn the wheel, buddy, it turns, doesn't it?
Yeah, you see all that rubber flew off the back. That's why he's doing it. Boy, these things will pick up a lot of rubber off the racetrack.
Looking at Ed Flemke, the pole sitter. Let's check with Randy.
Well, guys, the key to this race is to absolutely hit that chassis setup, not necessarily for the first 10 laps or 20, but to make sure that it's right when you hit 40. and there's no tire changing under caution, so they can't actually come in. But speaking of Ed Flemke's team, they said the car is just a little bit tight. Eddie fell back to about 7th there, and now he's back up to 5th, but they're hoping the track will come back to him a little bit around lap 30, 35. So if the other guys are dialed in right now, Eddie's got a little bit of a push, but he's hoping the thing loosens up as the race goes on.
A lot of these cars don't have national sponsors. Hummel Brothers Deli and Bob Bruno Engines power Flemke.
Well, who is that guy?
The king has been down to my lake where I usually fish. They won't even let me fish in there, though, man.
Had his pen in his hand to sign autographs.
Let me tell you, he still can't go anywhere without just thousands of people crawling all over him on that autograph. And I'm telling you,
well,
he takes his time and still worked with every one of them.
And of course, up here, Neil, never had a Winston Cup race. Had some old Grand National races here. Never had a Cup race in New England. So Richard Petty, like everybody else, has been pretty busy with that autograph pen. Glenn, how many autographs you signed today?
Well, not nearly enough. We're down in national champ Jeff Fuller's pits. You see this board here? These are all replacement parts they want to put on the car when they crash. Well, unfortunately for Jeff today, there's not enough stuff on there to fix the car. Now, there was one other tool that was lying there. I think this is the tool that they're going to use to take care of Jeff's car today. They're just going to sweep up the parts, put him on the truck, take him home.
That's a cruel man down there. Did you see it, Broom?
Yeah, I don't know. Where are the Fuller brush people? They need a new broom there. That's for sure. They're going to put Fuller's car on the rollback, and as soon as they offload him from the racetrack, we're ready to go back to racing.
Looks like we're going to have 8 or 9 laps of green, because right now it's at 10 to go. So 10 laps of this will be plenty exciting.
That's why they made this race 40 laps. I don't think we could stand 50. I love it. This, you know, you see these cars and you see how hard these drivers work. You see those bumpers laid one against the other. You see when the car cuts, which way the wheels go. You can see when a guy is pushing and when he's loose. So much more than you can with what are the modified fans called? The taxi cabs.
Right. And you can see why they fill the grandstand week in, week out in the Northeast.
Modifieds have not had a lot of television exposure over the years, so this is one of the best kept secrets in racing from the national fans. I guess they're kind of a combination of Winston Cup technology and sprint cars, if you will, trying to get the power to those big tires, get them down to the ground, and it's exciting.
I drove one of these things last weekend in Kansas, and it was just like somebody running in the back of you. When you mashed down on it, it's like somebody hit you at a red light when you took off the corner. I'm going to tell you, these things hook up.
Look, these guys here, they're determined to get this car to make a lap or two. The inspectors and everyone's there, they're concerned about the roof actually blowing off of it. They're trying to get that thing tied down well enough he can make a lap.
Got to start looking for the welder.
This could be one of the biggest accomplishments of the day, getting this re-cranked and moving.
Yep. One to go. The bungee cord and duct tape special.
It works. I don't know if the spoiler's working properly now. The aerodynamics are just a little bit out of line.
I don't know. I think the air's plenty spoiled going up and over that thing. Charlie Pasteryak, best finish this season, 6th up at Thompson, Connecticut. There's your top 5 once again, no change. And next time by, we're going racing. Can you hold your breath for 8 laps?
We're going to try.
We're going to have to. Tomorrow, the Slick 50 300, New England's first ever Winston Cup race, live on TNN.
I think the complexion of this thing's going to change totally. The last 6 or 8 laps we saw, those guys were content to push each other along, try to get away from that pack. Now they're going to have to scramble because anybody in that top 6 or 7 can take the lead right here.
You know what's neat, Neil? No matter what type of race car we've seen on this beautiful track that Bob Baer has built, Indy cars, Busch cars, modified cars, they're all real competitive racing. The track is well suited to just about everything they put on it here to give you a good show.
65 foot wide, good entry in the corners, good exits. They did a good job when they designed this place.
There will be some 65,000 people plus here tomorrow. Green flag. 8 laps to go. Hebron. And here comes on the inside against Ruggiero and Mike McLaughlin. Rick Fuller right behind, and Ruggiero will take over second. He kicked the back of that car out coming in too.
Well, it takes a lap or two to get that trash, build up rubber off the tires on a normal size. These things, they got to get it off there in a hurry.
Hebron the leader, Ruggiero, McLaughlin, Rick Fuller. See the chunks flying off those tires. Used up rubber. Hebron pulled a Neil Bonnet trying to break the draft there. It didn't work for him though.
Boy, he moved the outside. Look, here's 2 of them going by. But that doesn't mean anything. We've got he got moved back to 4th on that move.
And that's Ed Flemke. Just behind him. Boy, Hevron got loose there. Jan Lady is the Dayglow car, number 25.
You know, earlier it took Hevron about 6 or 8 laps to work his way to the front. His car might be a little tight when it first restarts.
Mike McLaughlin tracking Reggie Ruggiero. Ruggiero already this season has been in victory lane 3 times. Stafford Springs, here at New Hampshire, and back at Stafford.
Mike McLaughlin runs a lot wider line getting in that corner than most of these guys. Here he comes. He's going to take a look at that inside. Ooh, didn't quite have enough that time. He wanted it to make that run in there.
Look at how close the top 10 are. Just a car length apart.
It looks like he can jump up on him off the corner, have to lift for him just a minute. Wow. Look at that move to the inside.
McLaughlin, Hevron started into the turn on the outside and then dropped right down to the bottom. Changed his line completely in the middle of the corner.
I think Rick Fuller can get under him, but he don't have anybody to go with him, so he's got to draft just like he do on the Major Speedway at Talladega Daytona. I don't know.
McLaughlin, his car, watch him right in the middle of the corner, make a good strong move. Before he pulled up and wrapped him right in the rear, that time he took a look at the outside, he couldn't make that work.
Well, that's the line he used to win the Busch race. Coming up to the outside in the middle of the corner. Here comes Fuller down to the bottom. McLaughlin won't give him anything, so Hevron comes up top. Tony Ferranti's car after that ride down the wall, back in the race.
Now, he's got a good run. He likes to go on the inside here. He got a real good run off of that corner. Oh, he's staying tucked right in behind him. What's ideal here, buddy, we saw it happen before, is to push that guy in that corner. Stay on him and shove him in there a little bit deep, try to get him to slide out.
I would never believe I could draft like this. I just seen the 3-car go to the outside and have the draft and drive right by Fuller.
3 laps to go. Ruggiero the leader. McLaughlin in second, trying to do the double. Hevron in third, Fuller in fourth, Lady in fifth.
Now, Hevron and McLaughlin together might be able to make this pass. Here they go.
No.
Boy, it's close. You know, McLaughlin wasn't able to do it himself, but the second car trying to give him a little bit of a push.
2 laps to go. McLaughlin will try it again on the bottom. Can Ruggiero slam the door? He does.
3 cars going to enter into this thing before it's over. He's either going to help one of them or drive by him. His car's too strong to set there in third place.
Hevron drops to the bottom. McLaughlin going to have to give him room.
Almost.
Yep.
Look here, right?
Okay, Hevron.
He's wanting that outside. Here comes Hevron.
By himself now. You see the other car drop in there. Doesn't have time. Take that little bit of it down.
1 lap to go. Rick Fuller went with Hevron. That was the difference for second place. Here's McLaughlin fighting back on the outside, and he's about going to run out of room there. Baldwin is in the wall. From the in-car camera, they're going to race to the checker. He's in the wall in turn 1. Here comes the field battling back to the line. Jeff Fuller coming to the outside. He's not going to get Hevron. Ruggiero is going to make the flag and win it. Hevron is second. Fuller is third. Ed Flemke is fourth. And they were 3 wide at the flag for fifth.
Look at this.
Bob Park trying to make it home with a Nerf bar rubbing the left rear and the left front down. And our in-car camera has taken the big dump into the turn 1 wall. And here's Parksy trying to make the checker and be the last car on the lead lap.
Here.
There's a lot of hot water blowed back on that camera there. You can see where it busted the radiator and everything.
Bob Park makes it across. Tom Baldwin sits and waits for everything to clear before he climbs out. There's the front bumper cam. It's still there.
It's got a little bit different angle. We were looking to the right of that air cleaner.
That's our rear bumper cam, Neil.
Forecast is clear skies. No rain today.
And a chance of fence in your face. Well, Reggie Ruggiero from Forestville, Connecticut. 3-time champion at Riverside, once at Stafford Springs and twice at Monadnock, has won the New Hampshire Modified Shootout. What a show. We'll be right back.
Well, we're in victory lane at New Hampshire International Speedway again for the modified portion of our show, and a very happy Reggie Ruggiero is here. Of course, he wins a lot of modified races, but boy, that one was exciting.
Yeah, we put a heck of a show on here at New Hampshire. It's a 1-mile racetrack. As you can see, place for the draft. And I was lucky the last 2 laps, some guys were running second and third started fighting with themselves. I was, able to get away a little bit. And this car here, Auto Palace Sunoco sponsorship, TJ Toyota, my owner here, what a great race car.
Well, that's a mouthful he had to say there, and he did a good job saying it as well as on the racetrack. Mike?
Great show for Reggie Ruggiero. It's his 32nd modified tour victory, and he's #1 in that department. He's still looking for that first national championship. Here's what happened to our in-car camera with 1 lap to go. Look and listen.
You can see the liquid fly.
The engine let go and everything come out of it. He had no control whatsoever.
But Tom Baldwin was okay, walked away from that one. Ruggiero now leads Doug Hevron by 70 points in the Winston Modified Tour standings. Ruggiero the winner. Hevron finishes second. Rick Fuller is third. Ed Flemke Jr. the pole sitter fourth. Jan Lady had a strong drive to finish up in fifth. Mike McLaughlin back to sixth on that last lap in that 3-wide finish. Wayne Anderson was seventh. Stephen Park was eighth. Tim Connolly was ninth, and Tim Airy finished up in the 10th spot. Well, if you think this was exciting, wait till tomorrow. The Slick 5300 live on TNN. There's Mike McLaughlin, who won the Busch portion of today's doubleheader. Reggie Ruggiero, the winner of the modified race. Hope you join us tomorrow for the Slick 5300 live on TNN. New Hampshire's first Winston Cup race. For Neil Bonnet, Buddy Baker, Glenn Jarrett, and Randy Pemberton, I'm Mike Joy. We'll see you tomorrow from the nation's newest super speedway.
You're watching TNN, the Nashville Network.